Approach, Sky with 6316, 8.8 for 6,000.
Got 6316, North Approach, going to maintain 3,000, number 1 for the right.
3,000, Sky with 6316.
Redwood 811, going to maintain 4,000. Airport's open o'clock, 1.
Take you higher and higher and higher. You feel it over and over again. Take you higher and higher and higher. You feel it over and over again.
6 Roman Carefly runway heading runway 5. Let's take off.
Check.
And we're ready for takeoff. Sit back, relax. It's time to travel with Cosmic Passport. Spaced Out Weekend presents Elizabeth Anglin's Cosmic Passport, a 1-hour warm-up of news, stories, thoughts, and ideas to captivate your mind. You can follow us at spacedoutradio.com.
Now 20 years have passed us by, and we look back and count the time, burning like the summer sun when the world was young. As I lay staring from the ground, and 7 trumpets wait to sound.
And now, here's Our Lady of Flight, Cosmic Passport with Elizabeth Anglin.
Good evening and welcome to Spaced Out Radio Weekend. This is your host before the host, Elizabeth Anglin, bringing you some paranormal news tonight before James Tyson is on with our very special guest, Amy Mayer, who is a spirit rescue medium. We're going to talk a little bit about that after we have some paranormal news updates. We appreciate you listening to Spaced Out Radio and Spaced Out Radio Weekend. If this is your first time here, please check out the Spaced Out Radio website. You will find a lot of different information. We've got some blogs by Dave. We've got one blog by me. Some other people are blogging on there, and see what we have to say about stuff. This is our new website. It's been up for a little over a month. We also have a wonderful membership program called the Spaced Out Radio Space Travelers. And in the Spaced Out Radio Space Travelers, you not only get access to our archives, you get very special swag. We have a monthly drawing for books and prizes. We have a newsletter that's a-coming. I'm the editor. Last night, Bill Cardwell, who may or may not be here tonight, used the word dilatory. I'm the dilatory editor of the Spaced Out Radio Space Travelers newsletter, but I'm getting on it. This is August. It's time to go. We also will be having some private interviews just for Spaced Out Radio Space Travelers. Now, you would think, given all that special stuff, that we would be charging, an arm and maybe a pinky from the other arm, or, maybe all your natural hair if you're getting older and you want to save it, What? Hey. James is like, hey, not my hair. But no, we don't. It's a very minimal cost, $5 a month. Gets you into the Spaced Out Radio Space Travelers chat room. Very special chat room. It gets you swag, it gets you a newsletter, it gets you archives, it gets you other special stuff. So please consider doing it if you love us and you want us to keep going. And if you don't, well then, what the heck? But before you do that, why don't you listen tonight, especially if it's your first time here. I am Elizabeth Anglin. I am your host before the host. And this is Saturday night, the night I like to get into some paranormal updates. Unfortunately, I'm kind of lying because it was such a traumatic week in terms of politics in the United States, not Canada, that the first thing I have to say is that it seemed to be a big lesson for me when I was working. My day job is as a spirit medium and a gallery owner in New Mexico. But it seemed to me that I kept getting spirits who were talking about forgiveness. Well, I guess I need to hear that, because I'm not sure I can forgive the Democratic National Convention, and I'm not sure I can forgive our Democratic candidate for president, Hillary Clinton. And I've been having a hard time with it all week, and poor Dave Scott has heard me yelling over Skype. And if you were on last night, you probably heard me yelling. I sounded about like Joey Giggles. But I'm going to get over it. And I'm going to practice forgiveness. Because one of the things that I have learned, and one of the things that keeps getting put back into my consciousness when I'm working as a spirit medium, especially if I find myself working with a ghost, or find myself working with somebody who's not moving, who's not growing, who's not moving on, who's not moving through the stages in spirit once they are no longer in a physical body, and also when they are in a physical body, is that lack of forgiveness equals inability to move and grow, and lack of forgiveness does not lead to love, and lack of forgiveness does not lead to freedom. So one can become trapped in one's own lack of forgiveness. And this could be forgiveness of oneself for perceived wrongs that one has done, or for known wrongs that one has done. And this could also be forgiveness of others. But there is a big spiritual component to forgiveness, and we're going to talk about that later on, James and I, about ghosties, about spirits who become earthbound, about spirits who are afraid to go to the other side, and the fact that it's not just what you read about. It's not an either-or situation. It's not you were either a good person or you were a bad person. That there is a continuum of spiritual growth between the physical and the non-physical, and part of that continuum is moving from levels of lawlessness, logic, science, and then mysticism. But also with that, there's lack of love, lack of forgiveness, moving into forgiveness, moving into opening of the heart, moving into love. And so I'll explain that later if you don't just naturally get it. That my opinion, working as a spirit medium for 20 years, is that we are here to learn to love and be loved, and to open our hearts. And one of the best ways for us to do that is to forgive ourselves and forgive others. And gosh darn it, I am so having to be forgiving of my political process in the United States this week. It's been such a challenge for me that I just want to go escape into the paranormal, and I think we should do it right now, but we're still going to bring up the name that I have to forgive, Hillary Clinton. All right, so this is a story about Clinton and UFOs. This is in the Devoid blogs at theheraldtribune.com, and it's written by Billy Cox. Billy Cox is talking about Canadian researcher Grant Cameron, who is arguably the leading authority on the Clinton administration's dalliance with UFOs in the 90s. He has condensed his research into an ebook called The Clinton UFO Storybook, E.T. Politics in the White House. And this book has gotten a little buzz here and there, the Washington Times, Coast to Coast AM. It's not huge buzz, but it's enough buzz. And the New York Times and the Washington Post also recovered the story of the UFO dalliance of the Clintons earlier this year. So what Cameron says is that nothing much has changed since he's written the book. People are still busy chasing stories from the latest light in the sky. And as far as Hillary Clinton is concerned, well, she seems more concerned with accepting the Democratic nomination. But as he looks at the investigation, there is some satisfaction, or there is some hope. And you're talking to a person who at the moment has very little hope and very little forgiveness in her heart. But there is some hope that if Hillary Clinton becomes president, there will be a discussion of what the Clintons learned about UFOs in the 1990s, and whatever it is that Hillary Clinton learns about UFOs when she becomes the president, if she becomes the president, if people like me can forgive her. Anyway, that being said, it seems to be on hold because everybody's too busy cheating their way everybody's too busy running for office right now. But if there's one thing to be hopeful for, is that a Clinton presidency, other than being a travesty of gigantic biblical, other than being questionable in terms of its authority and authenticity, might come up with some more UFO information and disclosure. I think it's a campaign tactic because at this point in my lack of forgiveness state, I think everything's a campaign tactic. And I'm very cynical and hurt by everything. But at least there's this. We have some hope. At least those of us who have no hope and are cynical and hurt can maybe, possibly, a little bit timidly, tepidly look forward to a little bit more presidential release of information about UFOs. Not presidential release. All of you people that are thinking about Clinton and presidential release, you stop it. You are bad. That is bad. I never said that. Now, moving on. There were other things that happened this week other than somebody stealing the Democratic nomination, and other things in the paranormal. But not a lot. I think we were all a little bit distracted. One of the things that I was interested to see was a Mysterious Universe article by Micah Hanks. And it actually doesn't say much. It's called The Indians Without Fire, Stories of Sasquatch Over the Ages. And the reason why the title of it intrigued me was because it's called The Indians Without Fire. And for those of you who know me, I lived up on the Uncompahgre Plateau in the northwest San Juans in Colorado for 7 years. And while I was up there, I befriended, or was allowed to befriend, a Bigfoot family. And my main contact was known as the Old Man, or Siavitsu, which is Old Man in Ute. And he didn't like humans. And the year in 2013, the Granite Mountain guys in Arizona got burned up in the fire. Well, there was tons of fire that year. And I remember him grumbling about all the smoke in the air, because there was a ton of smoke in the air in southwest Colorado from all the Arizona fires and a few of the Colorado fires. And he was grumbling in our telepathic conversation about how we human beings were burners. That no matter what we did, we always had to burn something. And not only were we not careful with what we burned, we really didn't need to be burning anything. And, why the heck did we have to be such burners? So when Micah Hanks comes out with a story that says The Indians Without Fire, I'm like, yeah, that is one major difference between us and Bigfoot, is that Bigfoot doesn't use fire. And there'll be tools. They'll make tools. They'll make things that cut. They'll make things that to hunt with, but they don't use fire. And there is a bitterness about us because we do use fire. And they do have an understanding that we also are using engines that use fire. That, way back in the steam train engines, those were used by fire. Combustion engine, that's a type of fire. So, and that the air is becoming worse and worse and worse because we're burners. We're always burning something. We feel like we have to burn whatever it is, whether it's wood, whether it's coal, whether it's oil. So I was really interested in this story, but actually he doesn't write about much. I think Mike is actually fishing for your stories. So if you want to talk to Micah Hanks about your Bigfoot story and help him write his next book or whatever it is, he says, email me with your stories. And basically, this is kind of sorry, Micah, this is kind of a throwaway article, but the title is really, really good for those of us who know Bigfoot. They are the Indians without fire, or the Native Americans without fire, or the other humans without fire, if you don't mind hairy people being called humans. My opinion is that they're human. You don't have to agree with me on that, but that's my opinion about that. Okay, so we had some interesting conversations this week about the Mandela effect, especially last night, and we were talking about the Berenstain Bears or the Berenstain Bears. I think I remember, I didn't get a chance to talk about this. If you know what the Mandela effect is, it's this idea that sometimes your timeline shifts and changes, and you may remember something from your past being. You may have a very strong memory of something in your past or something in your life being a specific way. And then you go to look at it now, and it's completely different. So a lot of news has been coming up about the Mandela effect, and it was basically that it's called the Mandela effect because there were people who thought they were from one timeline where Mandela died in jail, and Nelson Mandela died in jail, and they remembered that timeline, and then all of a sudden Nelson Mandela was alive. And so the idea was, well, they misremembered Nelson Mandela dying in jail because they were remembering a different timeline. So something for them shifted timelines, and they were all of a sudden, in terms of that piece of information, two separate timelines had merged, and the general consensus was Nelson Mandela had survived and had gone on to become successful and the South African leader. So that being said, I do know somebody who has, and I believe them, had their own personal Mandela effect, but it's been personal to them. Now, in terms of the Berenstain Bears or the Berenstain Bears, if you go on eBay, everybody posts it as Berenstain Bears, but it's on the book when you look at it, it says Berenstain. And I remember, I think they came out in the 80s, early 90s. I remember being so confused because people call it the Berenstain Bears, but the spelling is actually Berenstain, and it has been Berenstain, but everybody has called them the Berenstain Bears the whole entire time. And Berenstain, S-T-A-I-N, that's the name of the authors who wrote about the bears. But Berenstain is easier for people to remember. It's a more normal sounding name. So I don't think there's anything to the Berenstain or Berenstain Bears, even though the Mandela effect has been coming up a lot in the last 2 weeks in terms of the paranormal world. What I will say is that I know someone who had their own personal experience of going to bed at night in their bedroom with their wife, and they are not New Age believers, they are not paranormalists, these are Texas rather conservative Christians. Okay? They went to bed, their bedroom was decorated a certain way with certain lamps and certain wallpaper and certain bedspread and certain rug, certain furniture. When they woke up, their bedroom was decorated in a completely different way. And they both noticed it. They both woke up, they looked around their bedroom and went, oh my gosh, WTF just happened. And then when they went out and left their bedroom, the rest of their house, other than very, very minor things, was exactly the same. So there is possibly something to the idea that two timelines can merge. I'm not sure that two timelines can merge for an entire world or entire culture, but in terms of people, individual people, I know somebody who I trust very, very much and is very, very honest who has had this happen. So look for things in your life that change. Like, I want to wake up one day and lose, my hope is that the timeline will just, all of a sudden, I'll be really, really a lot lighter so I don't have to diet. And then I can just go out and be like a hot chick without doing any work on my glutes or my thighs or anything like that. So, if you care for me, put out the intention to the universe that my timeline, the only thing that will change is my shape. And that I'll be buffer. Okay, because that's really what I'd like to see happen. I don't know if you can program the universe that way, but gosh, I'm hopeful. And I think we should all be hopeful that maybe we can. That being said, talking about spirits that get stuck or spirits that need rescue, there are a lot of confusing things in the world. And sometimes, given the belief system that we may have as human beings in the physical world before we pass to the other side, sometimes our belief systems may not correspond to the actuality of what's going to happen or what does happen with us. And personal story, I know I've probably said this a million times, so I'm sorry if I'm repeating myself. I have a mom who passed last year who was an atheist who didn't believe in life after death, and she was hit by a truck crossing the street, and she died immediately. And she was very, very confused about why the coroner at the morgue would not sign her papers, her medical papers, to release her so she could go home. So she got stuck at the morgue because she still thought she was alive, and she couldn't figure out why the doctor wouldn't sign her release form so she could go home, and she was tired of being in the morgue. So my sister, who is a medium, and myself, and I had 2 friends in spirit, we did a minimal rescue. It didn't take us very long, of my mother, because she was confused. She thought that she couldn't possibly, that there was nothing, that once you get to the other side, there's nothing, so why worry about it? And unfortunately, or fortunately, she found out, she was still alive. She was very much alive. She was very much conscious, but she was stuck because she was confused. So her situation didn't last very long. The confusion didn't deepen. It didn't become frustration. It didn't become anger. It didn't become remorse or regret. It just became, oh, that's why the doctor won't sign my release form. Yeah, because you're not alive, so you can't go home. So that worked out well. But there are times throughout history with different people who are in different states of mind and different reference points with their the religion that they were raised in, or the lack of religion, or an unforgiving, potentially unforgiving religion, a sort of hellfire and brimstone religion, where they are clued in about some things, but they're still confused about others, or they're clued into the fact that they're dead, but they are afraid of all of the things that they were taught that were confused when they were alive. And tonight we have a very special guest, Amy Major, who is a rescue medium who works with ghosts and earthbound spirits, or spirits who have crossed over and have just decided they want to come back and hang out, in order to help them move along if they need to, or at least, do them a solid if they, by talking to them if they're not ready to go yet. So we're very, very to have her on, because a lot of the things that we've been talking about on Spaced Out Radio in the past couple of weeks have been the idea that paranormal investigators perhaps have some ethical responsibility to treat any sort of ghosts that they come up and meet, or any sort of spirits that they meet, with the compassion to help them move on if they want to move on, or at least listen to them and hear them out, and also explain to them what's going on. What can happen is, once you leave your body, and if you stay on the earth plane or in the astral, the near earth plane and the astral, it can become exceedingly confusing. And part of it has to do with, it's sort of like the movie What Dreams May Come, where, you're kind of making up your own reality, but yet you're still in the near earth plane, astral plane, and you don't have a lot of input because you've gotten so confused. You don't see that there are angels and spirits who are waiting for you to get out of your head. Your head might be in a bad place. Your mental state, your consciousness might be in a weird place, and you may not be able to see past that. So sort of like The Sixth Sense, sort of like What Dreams May Come, maybe not as cinematically beautiful or dramatically intense as either one of those stories, but for the spirits who are going through that, who have been stuck in their heads or stuck in their consciousness or stuck in their fear that maybe they were not good people, and if they get to the other side, they're going to get damned to hell, or they're going to get judged and they're not going to be forgiven, or they can't forgive God because God didn't give them something that they wanted. One of the best things that can possibly happen to these people, these non-physical people, is to have somebody who is willing to help them, sort of counsel them into understanding where they are, where their head's at. I really look at it as being kind of a psychologist or therapist for spirits. Like, no, you're actually here, and this is actually what's going on, and here are what your opportunities are, and here are the things that could be done, and no, you don't need to be afraid of that or be paranoid about that. It's a kindness, and Amy Major is going to talk about the experience of doing that work and doing that work very awesomely and very often this evening with James. Before that happens, we are going to have to go to a break because it is that time of the evening, and when we come back, I hope James will talk to me about the subject a little bit, and then we'll bring on Amy Major to talk about it too. Hey, James, are you there? He's going to yell at me.
Yes.
Yeah. You there?
I are here.
You are here. You're not yelling at me. That's good.
No.
I know. I'm so glad you're here. I think we should go to break, and then we should talk more about what you're going to talk with Amy about. No? No?
I was going to sit here. Okay, yeah. Maybe we should. How's that?
Okay.
We'll go to a break and...
We'll be back in a flash. Go get yourself some tea, let your dogs out, whatever you need to do. We'll be back in about 4 minutes?
Sure. 4 minutes and 17 seconds. I've got my tea and the dog's already out.
Okay, cool. We'll see you.
Hi there, this is Dave Scott.
The other side of the show.
I would like to invite you to listen Monday through Friday right here on Spaced Out Radio. 3 hours a night of the top stories with the top guests, ranging topics from UFOs to ETs, ghosts to Sasquatch, and everything in between. We are live every night, 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern. So come on in and take a listen at spacedoutradio.com. Spaced Out Radio will take you out of this world.
Have you ever had an extraterrestrial experience? One you just couldn't explain? Well, maybe I can help. Hello, I am Samantha Mullet. On the second Tuesday of each month, I will join Dave Scott on Spaced Out Radio to bring a human aspect to ET contact. It's something I've lived with my entire life, and I'd love to help you understand. Let's share our experiences. The ET Experience, the second Tuesday of each month, only on Spaced Out Radio.
Fairies? Bigfoot? Dogmen? Trolls? Goblins? Hey, if it's cryptid in any way, I'm looking into it. Hi there, this is author Ronald Murphy, also known as Spaced Out Radio's Crypto Guru. Join me every second Wednesday of the month on Spaced Out Radio with Dave Scott, where we will talk about the stories people call tall tales. I will fill you in on the latest sightings and the hidden histories that are causing quite a stir. You can find everything at spacedoutradio.com.
Hi there, this is Jolene with Rivulet Reiki and Readings, and I want you to relax. Let me help you chill out and get in touch with your body, mind, and soul. In this busy world, sometimes we need to let go, and this is where I can help. Visit my website, rivuletrndr.wix.com/rivuletrndr, or my Facebook page, Rivulet R&R, to set up an appointment for relaxation, Reiki, or readings, no matter where you are. It's time for you to make time for you.
Are you an ET experiencer, but you just don't know what's going on? Are you too timid or shy to discuss it with anyone? Maybe I can help. Join me, R. Keith Andrews, the first Friday of every month on Spaced Out Radio, and I will help you to find the answers you're looking for. Together, I will help you understand the off-worlders and the true meanings behind your experiences. All you have to do is join us in the Spaced Out Radio chat room. See you there.
Hi there, this is your psychic medium Joanna, and I would love it if you would join us every other Sunday on Spaced Out Weekend. With host James Tyson, we'll bring you personal psychic messages on two mediums and a large. Questions about love, life, career changes. We would love it if you would come and join us live. Call in and listen in for the experience. Allow us to open the doors to your other side. Two mediums and a large, heard only on Spaced Out Weekend at spacedoutradio.com.
Would you like to become one of our space travelers? All you have to do is click on the Space Travelers icon at spacedoutradio.com. For only $5 a month, you can get access to some great prizes, as well as private monthly shows, newsletters, and a members-only section on our website. Become a space traveler today.
Are you interested in advertising on Spaced Out Radio?
Head to our website at spacedoutradio.com and click on our advertising tab. There you will find an assortment of ways you can get your product out there with us.
From the radio, commercials, to banners, to social media.
Have a product you'd like our host to endorse? We can do that too.
Visit spacedoutradio.com for more details.
Spaced Out Weekend and Cosmic Passport can be heard every Saturday and Sunday night, starting at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern Time. We're always 3 hours a night, 7 days a week. And you can listen to Spaced Out Radio Monday through Friday as well. If you'd like to advertise with us, go to our website, spacedoutradio.com, click on the Advertise with Us banner, and find the package that best suits your advertising needs.
And welcome back from that beautiful break with the voice of Dave Scott, bringing you back to us from the other side, or the other side of the break. This is Elizabeth Anglin, your host before the host, here with James Tyson. We're going to be talking a little bit about spirit rescue, but I kind of want to talk about it also from the perspective of, freedom, forgiveness, love, self-forgiveness, and also the idea that there are certain things that you can make as a person in a human body, in a living body. You can make certain things solid, significant, and real. You can make a judgment or make a series of judgments about things that cause you to trap yourself in your own mental constructs, or cause you to trap your relationships with other people in your own mental constructs. And you find that on the other side, that becomes more pronounced, that making issues or making things that you feel you don't agree with, or making things that you feel you are afraid of, into something that is solid, significant, and real. And then if you really poke at it, oh gosh, that's my ego. Look, that's my ego all over it. Look, that's my personal rejection / judgment / lack of forgiveness. All sorts of solid, significant, and real, and my ego, which in the best terms, an ego is meant to protect us from physical harm. But most of the time we have so little physical harm that our ego goes crazy and tries to protect us from people who are just slightly different than us. Like people with red beards, like James Tyson, who has a red beard, for example, right now. Do you still have your red beard, James?
Yes.
Yes. What I would say to people, that if you find yourself getting stuck in your mental constructs, take a step back and ask yourself, and take a piece of paper out. And this is a good practice to get into now while you're in a physical body, because if you get confused on the other side, or you're going to be less likely to get confused because you're less at the beck and call of your own ego or your own fear or your own mental construct that you've made solid, significant, and real. So the question to ask yourself is, a good training for anybody who's going to go to the other side is, what am I making solid, significant, and real? And this is about any situation that makes you uncomfortable, any person maybe you don't understand or you feel you don't want to understand, or anything about yourself that makes you feel like you in some way are not good enough, that you are not lovable, that you won't be found acceptable in the eyes of God or in the eyes of Spirit or in the eyes of the Creator or in heaven. What are you making solid, significant, and real about yourself, and what are you making solid, significant, and real about other people? And how is that preventing you from living a full and open and heart-filled life? And when you get upset, especially, you know how you get really torqued out and your shoulders go up to your ears and your back gets really tight and maybe you have a pit in your stomach or maybe you're angry. Take a deep breath, inhale, exhale, and get out a piece of paper. What am I making solid, significant, and real about this situation? Ask yourself and then write it down. And if you're still feeling like your shoulders are up to your ears and you just don't know what to do, write it down again. What else am I making solid, significant, and real about the situation? And once you've looked at all the stuff that your ego, which doesn't have enough to do because we're all pretty well fed, right? We're all hooked into the computer because we're all well fed. Most of us are well housed, not all of us. Most of us are working jobs. Yeah, we might be borderline in terms of making money or not. But once we get through what our ego is making a threat to us, what our ego is making fearful to us, what our ego is, the molehill that has been turned into the monster, or the wave that has been turned into the particle, once we get through that, then you say, I willingly release the need to make this, whatever it is, solid, significant, and real. I move it from the manifest to the unmanifest, from particle to wave. It's pretty simple. I willingly release the need to make this situation, whatever it is, solid, significant, and real. I move it from the manifest to the unmanifest, from particle to wave. Now, you might be saying, what does this have to do with ghosts on the other side? Well, what it has to do is that the mind that you have here in the physical, you're still going to have that same mind when you get to the other side. You're still going to have that same consciousness. And when you realize that your consciousness is, in a very large way, responsible for the things that you perceive to be real, when you get in, and that in a lot of ways, when you're on the other side, people do, and trust me, I'm a medium, so I'm just going to put it out there, people live in their own heavens in heaven. Like, they create the situations that they really enjoyed on earth, or they create new situations that they think they really enjoyed, or they'll go out and they'll create a situation that they always wanted to do that they never did. You know, the sort of the recreational time in heaven is conscious creation of situations that they always really wanted to have happen, right? And it's easier to do because they're non-physical and they're not co-creating a shared physical reality where everything is kind of slow and lumpy and owie, and, you know, you can break your body and you can get hurt and somebody could predate on you or do something bad to you. It's a lot faster when you're in heaven. You can create something really nice, and most people would go about, with the help of Spirit, doing that relatively quickly. As long as you know that and you have some experience of using your mind to uncreate the things you don't want, the things that you have made solid, significant, and real, it's going to be a lot easier when you get to the other side not to be confused by the things that you have made solid, significant, and real. So that's just a little trick that you can use, not use. Think I'm crazy, but I've been doing this for mediumship for a long time, a couple decades, and it's, I cannot tell you how many spirits on the other side have said, oh yeah, well, how are you? What have you been doing? And they'll come up with the thing that the family member knows is the thing that they always liked to do or enjoyed doing or made them feel comfortable and happy. And that's how they're creating their space in heaven mentally with the consciousness that they have. So that being said, I really enjoy talking to James Tyson.
Really?
And I want to make that solid, significant, and real. So what do you think, James? What do you think about all this spirit rescue and the paranormal? Because you're a researcher. You go out, you poke at things that are actually on the physical earth with meters and stuff.
My daughter and I moved one out of the house. And so that's about as close as I got to rescuing something. But a lot of the times we find something in a property, whether it's a public property or a private property, that is just mixed up. And we will bring in people who do this for a living. Not for a living, but because they don't get paid. But we bring them in and we, basically just kind of get them over. We bring the expert in, who could be a shaman or whatever their expertise is, like a spirit medium or a transport medium, and we'll get them in to move them along.
And it's not that when you do it, how long does it take? What has been your experience of how difficult it is once you know what you are about to do?
Well,
is it
for my daughter and I, it took about 20 minutes, but we didn't know it happened until we talked to someone later who had no idea there was an entity. Well, it was Joanna, the medium, who is on here tomorrow night with Paisley. Joanna said, you had a spirit in the basement. It was very, very sad. It walked over to you too with his head down and really didn't want to leave. And she kind of described exactly she described what my daughter and I were doing. And I had not talked to her about that. And she said it was very sad to leave because it was his house. He had grown up in the house. He had committed suicide away from this house into another place he lived. But he had come back when my daughter was brought home from the hospital and kind of was mirroring her age as she was getting older. He just liked her energy. So when we sent him on, he was the same age as my daughter at the time. He committed suicide around 21 or 22, but he left here at 15 or 16.
See, that's what's really interesting is that they're, in the Catholic religion, they believe that if you commit suicide, then, you're not going to heaven. So part of the confusion comes about where there is this inescapable rule of law, which isn't true. And that's, I think, that spirits can get confused by that. I committed suicide, so there's no way that I can move on, or I can't go and see St. Peter because the judgment will be, I have committed the biggest sin that there is. And it's simply not true. What happens from the point of view of a spirit medium, having worked with several people who have committed suicide and have freshly committed suicide, is that there's a continuum of healing process. So and this is not to say you should go commit suicide, so I'm smacking all you people upside the head who think I might be saying that. That's not true. But if you were to do yourself such a harm because you're in such a dark place, or you get so angry, or you're crying out for help and there's no one there, when you get to the other side, you will be helped. But if you truly believe, like if you are staunch in your religion that there is no help for you if you commit suicide, you won't be able to see your help because your belief has become solid, significant, and real. And so that becomes your prison. Your belief becomes your prison, and it locks you in this limitation of possibility. And so, again, don't lock yourself in here. When you get to the other side, you'll be well practiced at not locking yourself in on the other side, because there's all sorts of help on the other side for people who commit suicide, and there's all sorts of forgiveness. And there's a tremendous amount of regret for people who commit suicide and get to the point where they can have their life review, because then they see how many people, their mothers, their fathers, if they're young, or their children, or their wives, or their husbands, they see how many people they hurt or cause significant pain to by doing harm to themselves or taking themselves to the other side. And so, you have that life review and you feel what other people feel by the actions that you did. But there's still a tremendous amount of forgiveness. And if there's any judgment, it's your judgment of yourself. There is none of this unforgivable suicide sin. So, yeah, I dislike that when I see it, that there are so many spirits that think that they can't go because they committed suicide.
Yeah.
It's good that you sent him on. Now, did he go? Did he go to the other side, or is he just outside of the house?
Well, no, he went on. He went up. He went on
good.
And up. And that was good.
Yeah.
We've done paranormal investigations at a place where the priest had, at least murdered 2 children and diddled a whole bunch more. And he won't cross over, and he won't let the kids cross. And the kids tell me audibly that he's blackmailing them, like blaming the victim. If you cross over, I'll tell God what you did.
Yeah.
So, dick. Anyway, he won't cross because he thinks he's a Catholic priest, so he thinks he's going to burn in hell. He'd probably he'd just get hot in heck. So he's making the kids stay back.
Well, what would happen with him is he would experience everything they experienced, and now he's just stretching it out, as he, and you might want to tell him this. You're just stretching out all the things that you've got to experience that are not nice because you aren't moving on and facing your music, buddy. But I've seen stuff like that here in New Mexico. We had a case where somebody either from the Toltec or the Aztec, it was one of the religions of hundreds of years ago, early Pueblo or late Anasazi time. But the Mexican, the Mesoamerican, the Mexican, either Toltec, I think it was Toltec, but it could have been early Aztec, moved up into New Mexico. And the priest that used to rip people's hearts out, and then throw them down the pyramids. Mm-hmm. Do you know the ones I'm talking about? So the sun would rise in the morning. Well, we had a case where one of those came up to the Corrales, Rio Grande, North Albuquerque area, and predated a group of early Pueblo or late Anasazi Indians, and all of the Toltec priest was still there, acting in a demon-like way. And all of the people who had their hearts ripped out and were tossed down the hill were still there. And it was just, and unfortunately, I don't know enough about that religion. All I could do is just look at that and go, oh, this is really black and dark and bad. But, what do you do when you see that? When you see somebody who is in a position of authority or a position of power that also, I think we should ask Amy this, when somebody in position of authority and power is keeping trapped other people in spirit.
Yeah. And that's the hard part, because there's a nasty nun who's hanging back too. She's not crossing. There's also a good nun and an older First Nations or American Indian male, because this is a school for First Nations, and a lot of abuse because they were taken away from their families and made to go to school. And the other 2 spirits have stayed back to purposely look after the children. Mm-hmm. And that's sad too.
Yeah, and I see that sometimes too. I'll that's like my Jedediah Barrett up in Ure. He's staying for another spirit who he really cared about, and they've been there for over 100 years. And he says, no, I'll move on when she moves on.
Yeah.
It's like, okay. You know,
I'm just waiting.
I'm just waiting. Besides, I'm a transcendentalist. I can become enlightened right where I am. Okay.
Sure.
No.
You just can't use those washrooms in the United States. Oh, sorry. The other kind of...
Oh!
Okay. So,
yeah.
If what exactly in your experience, and this is one of those little sneaky questions I'm going to slip into Amy Major, is in your experience, what is the success rate of getting the lost ones? I guess there's the ones that come to you and say, look, I really got to go and I understand you can help. And the ones that are just kind of wandering aimlessly thinking this is where they're supposed to be. What is the success rate in moving somebody on?
You know, it can be very good, because once you cut through the confusion, if they are frustrated with their situation, I have found that the ones that are spirits, the ones that went to the other side, they had their life review and they come back because they like it in a certain place. They oftentimes will be a little bit more, they already have their plan, they already have their agenda, and they'll tell you what it is. No, I've just decided that I'm going to spend the next 15, 20, whatever years here because I really, really like it here, or whatever. They're a little bit, you know, you can kind of like give them a break in not like the paranormal TV shows where you yell at them, no, you have to go because you're not supposed to be here. And it's like, well, who says anybody's supposed to be anywhere? It's a free cosmic situation. They can be here if they want to be, right? But
Exactly.
if it's a ghost that doesn't know or can't, or like, you know, if you say there's a little bit of fear about crossing over if they have had the belief system that they're going to be judged harshly or they're going to be damned. But if you bring some, you know, you call in some really beautiful, lovely, loving angels, and you have a lot of love, and you say, no, that's not what's going to happen. And look who's here for you. It's all going to be okay. And you don't have to do this anymore. And you don't have to be afraid of what's on the other side. You can go ahead and go. You're really going to enjoy it. And I'm a near-death experiencer, so I'll usually give like a mental representation of what I went through with my life review and what it was like. And they can see it, because it's what's in my head. They can see it, and then there's like this release. There's like this, oh, and then there's a big thank you, and that is not hard to do. It's not hard to call in help because you're doing it in order to sincerely help somebody else, and it's not hard to get angels to help you because you're sincerely doing it to help someone else. And if you're a near-death experiencer and you remember the experience, or you're a medium and you've seen what other people have seen on the other side and you have that to show them, you know, it's not hard to do it. It doesn't take a lot of time. And, you know, it's the bastards like your guy.
Yeah.
At the school, you know. Convincing him when he just liked to be a bastard anyway. I mean, he liked to cause people pain. He's a sociopath, so he'd F with you as much as he F'd with them.
Yep. And he would argue. Yeah. He didn't want them talking to us. You could hear him telling them, don't talk to them, don't talk to them. And the good nun and one of the kids, they were just kind of almost parroting from each other. I'd ask a question and either the nun would answer, and then you hear a little kid's voice, you know, repeat it, or vice versa, like, why are you still here? Blackmail. So it was very compelling, and you could hear him saying, don't talk to them. Just don't talk to them. Yeah, because
I think if it were me, I would call in some angels just for the kids. I'd say, here, I want you to meet my friend. I want you to meet my friend Michael. I want you to meet my friend Uriel. Here's some nice people, some nice spirits for you to meet. Because I think if he loses his support base of them, you know, sort of preying on them, that would be good. You know, have less of a sense of power, less of a sense of authority.
Yep.
He's an a-hole.
Pretty much.
Pretty much. Yeah, those are harder.
Yeah.
Well, ask Amy what she says. Ask, because, she does this a lot. I do it when it seems apparent, so it's not like I'm running out every 10 days or something. And
I interviewed, what's her name? I think it's Helen or Mary Rodriguez, who's a transport medium. So these lost souls kind of seek her out, and she had the entire all the passengers and crew of that Malaysian flight come through the night it went down. That was a little bit freaky. Yeah. And she actually located it too, but no one's listening to her. But they're actually narrowing in on where she said it was. So that'll be interesting. They were talking. That was obviously a fire. It was probably the lithium-ion batteries, or probably something with the tires that went up to the lithium-ion batteries. And I'll just tell you, people, don't do a code share with a non-American carrier. I don't know about Canadian, but American carriers can't have those lithium-ion batteries in a big carton because of the possibility that they'll catch fire. And so if you're going to be flying, especially if you're going to be flying in the summer and you're in the United States or you can get an American carrier, it's a much safer trip than if you're doing code share and say you're doing Singapore Air under United or some other kind of craziness. And if you want to check these things, I think there must be somewhere online, I haven't found it, where you can check what the country's regulations are for their aircraft, whether or not what kinds of materials they can carry in a passenger airline. But American passenger airlines cannot have those lithium-ion batteries. They were talking, like when it was happening, that it was a fire, and it happened really, really quickly. Like it got up into the cockpit, and anyway, it's very sad. But I'm glad that she helped them. That's really cool. That's not what they. That's not what they said.
That's not what they told her?
No.
Well, the ones in the back experienced something different.
No, this was the crew.
What did they tell her?
They had the things were going on. Something to do with something underneath and the front of the plane. She said something got damaged after takeoff. And as a result of that, all their controls went for a poop. So it was just basically on autopilot, and they couldn't turn it off. They had an engineer on the plane, and they had that person up working on it, and it just flew until it ran out of gas.
Well, and actually,
it's sitting on the Rodriguez Shelf, which is a coral shelf around a place called Rodriguez Island, and coincidentally, that information, she passed that information on to me long before that piece of plane washed. Hold on. No, you can get there, but just let me. Let's just remember the piece of the plane washed up.
Yeah.
Okay, that is like 150 miles away from where she said it went down.
Yeah.
Way before they found that piece, and while they were still looking in the other direction. So what she failed to say, what?
What she failed to see was what happened in the nose was that the fire went up the cabling in the control system. So it was a fire. It went up and it stopped there. It stopped them from being able to control the plane. And he did get the fire out, and it did fly until it ran out of gas. But it was a fire in the cabling system, in the control system, so it really was a fire. She didn't see that it was a fire.
Oh no, she didn't see anything. She just asked them what had happened.
Well, she asked them, but she didn't remote view the plane. The only thing that they were aware of is that they didn't have the controls, but actually they did smell smoke. The guy told me, but I looked at the plane, and what it was, the reason they didn't have the controls was because there was a fire, and that fire got up into the electrical system and the electrical cabling system in the plane. So she didn't remote view the plane.
No.
But
she just had them all showing up in her house. And she happened to be there with a whole bunch of other mediums, having a little old grandma medium get-together. And she said the first group that came to her, they were standing in the hallway soaking wet.
Yeah.
And she hadn't heard about the plane at that time. And then they just came through, and finally the flight crew came through. And she said what happened to the plane, and they showed her what do you call it, the altimeter going backwards really fast to 0, and then that was it. So all she knew is the plane went down. And then it was later they heard about that plane.
Yeah. No, I talked to the guys at the front, and they were like, what the WTF? And because they didn't have the control. And so when he stopped talking, and they couldn't radio back because they didn't have the system to do it, because there had been a fire in that system, and the fire had come from the batteries. So anyway, word of caution, American carriers may be Canadian. You'll have to check on Canadian too.
We were talking about this yesterday, lithium batteries. There's a new suitcase that is self-propelled, goes up to like 9 miles an hour, and you sit on it and you scoot along the airport, and it's FAA approval, the whole bit, and it's operated on a lithium battery.
Well, yeah, and your computers are too. It's when you put a whole bunch of them together in a big crate that you end up with the problem. If you just have one, then you won't have a problem.
Lithium everywhere. I hate getting lithium everywhere.
Lithium ions. Well, I guess it's, I have expounded enough on my opinion.
No, you haven't. I'm still waiting for Amy to come up to the cabin here.
Amy. All those Amy's. Those Amy's. Well, okay, so there's no Amy.
Not right now.
Let's see.
But
what else?
Coming.
She's coming. Okay. So what else do you know? What else have you seen when you're out there poking the paranormal with sticks?
We were out talking to somebody in an area of an old fort, one of the oldest places in Western Canada. It was an old Hudson's Bay fort. And she mentioned a tree at the end of the street that people had seen spirits around. So when Kelly Gunn, we left, we walked up to the tree and put our hands on it, and I just got the creepiest, like, unhappy, grumpy, just sad feeling, pouty. Anyway, and she was on the other side, and it's a big tree. It's been around for weeks. And she came, we both looked at each other and said, well, that really sucked. And she said, yeah, it was angry and miserable, and I doubt it was one of these trees where someone was hung, but, it's a few hundred years old. This side of the continent is relatively new. The Northwest, new to Europeans. The Spanish, and then eventually English and the Scots. And the First Nations were here since they invented a tree. But this was amazing, an amazing feeling from this tree. So that's something we're going to have to look into. I'm going to dig around the museum out there and find if they've got any history of that area and that tree specifically. If it was there was a couple of battles out there, minor little ones, like little clan battles and things like that. But and when I say clan, I don't mean the clan. I mean like one family group against another family group in the American Indian. Oh, American Indian, not European. I was going to say Scots clans out there. That's cool. You Canadians are cool. Yeah, there was a lot of Scott, like Simon Fraser and all those other explorers that were out here, and a lot of the people at the fort were Scottish or British, and they of course they travel across the continent, just a bunch of guys, so they would marry the native population within the native population, and being the Hudson's Bay Company, they would bring over a lot of really good sailors and hardy folk, and they were called Kanaka. And those Kanakas were actually from Hawaii, or what we'd call Hawaii now, the Sandwich Islands. And that's another group that people see wandering around down in this fort. These very big, they describe them as big Samoan-looking guys. And those were the Kanaka with the interesting tattoos.
Polynesians.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. So, well, think about it. There's a lot of displacement there. People are displaced. They're having to get along. Isn't it wet? Isn't it like cold and wet?
Where?
A lot of the time. In that area.
Yeah, it's a rainforest. So in the Pacific Northwest, in the winter, you'll get some snow, but you get a lot of rain. That's why everything's so green and has big trees. That's just kind of the way it is. But in the summer, it's hot, and in that area back in the day, you'd be up to your butt in mosquitoes.
That'll make you grumpy.
Yeah, that'll definitely make you grumpy. But it is incredible. It's an incredible little area. It's a very, very interesting investigation we've done out there. A lot of people, just Joe Public, have seen things. Not as busy as that Barkerville, that old mining town, which is literally on top of huge quartz deposits around multiple running streams above ground and underground. Its energy is so high, it's absolutely incredible. You don't have to be gifted or a psychic or anything to see something. You just have to listen carefully and know where to look.
You know what I think would be so interesting to do is and this is the other side of the world, but it still would be an interesting investigation to see who's there or see if anybody's left there. You know the pirate town in Madagascar?
Yep.
That would be the thing that I would want to do. I would want to go to that site where the ships went down, where the pirate colony was, and see, with my spirit medium eye and with, just feeling who's there, what's there, because that's a kind of that's interesting.
Yeah. Hey, I'm going to take our break. We're going to grab Amy. I'll grab her in and drag her in, kicking and screaming, and we'll be back. And I want to thank you very much for putting up with me,
welcome.
Elizabeth. You're always fascinating, and I love the way you get my brain going before the guest comes on. It's brilliant.
Well, thank you, and good luck to you talking with Amy. I'm going to listen for a little bit. I had a big day today, so if you don't see me chatting a lot, it's just because I'm tired. And I'll see you guys all tomorrow with more news and more stuff.
Thank you very much. I'll be right back. We're going to do a little bit of news and get right back here with Amy.
AP Radio News. I'm Ross Simpson. Check your Powerball tickets. You could be the winner of the nation's 8th largest lottery jackpot, worth $487 million.
First number down tonight is 32. And right after that, America, we have the number 21. Here's Peter and Amy Massey from North Carolina. They won $100,000 playing Powerball. Next number down is 17. That's followed by 23. And we're going to wind it up for you tonight with the number 11. All right, now for your winning Powerball number. We have 5 tonight.
If there isn't a winner, the Powerball jackpot will increase when another drawing is held Wednesday. Republican presidential candidate Donald Trump says opponent Hillary Clinton and other Democrats are trying to rig the fall debates by scheduling 2 of the events opposite NFL games.
Donald Trump said the NFL sent a letter to him complaining about the debate schedule. After the NFL denied a letter had been sent, a Trump aide who wasn't authorized to speak about it said Trump was made aware of the conflicting dates by a source close to the league.
On September 26th, the night of the first debate, ESPN will air the Falcons and Saints on Monday Night Football. On the 9th of October, the second debate will air opposite the Sunday night game between the Giants and the Packers. Investigators are trying to determine what caused a hot air balloon to crash in flames south of Austin, Texas, Saturday, apparently killing all 16 people on board.
The crash site is in the middle of some wide-open farmland. There's crops of corn. There's cows grazing about a quarter mile away. but the crash site appears to be directly under a series of high-capacity power lines.
AP correspondent Jim Vertuno on the scene. A 42-year-old skydiver with more than 18,000 jumps in his logbook made history Saturday when he became the first person to leap out of a plane without a parachute and land in a net. This is AP Radio News. Violent thunderstorms moved across the mid-Atlantic region late Saturday evening, dumping more than 3 inches of rain in the Baltimore area. The deluge turned streets in historic Ellicott City into raging rivers of muddy water. Rain also played havoc with the third round of the PGA Championship in Springfield, New Jersey, forcing officials there to try to squeeze in the final 2 rounds on Sunday.
Just 37 rounds were completed before persistent storms forced the suspension of the PGA Championship third round. Because of the weather, the leading groups never made it past the practice fairway and now face a marathon final day to try and complete the championship on time. Jimmy Walker and Robert Streb will start the delayed third round at 9 under, 2 clear of defending champion Jason Day and Emiliano Grillo, and 3 ahead of the British Open champion Henrik Stenson. Graham Agars, Springfield, New Jersey.
I'm Ross Simpson. AP Radio News.
It's time to go live on Spaced Out Weekend.
13, please. Oh, hi, Kevin. Oh, is that the time? Kevin, my friend, don't you find that watch just a little bit loud? Well, I certainly hope our buddy Bumblefoot is playing when we get there. Oh, you stinky big bundle of hair. I said Bumblefoot, not Bigfoot. Oh, it's going to be a long night.
It's time to head to the 13th floor of the old log cabin for Spaced Out Weekend with James Tyson. You can tweet James at James Tyson SOR. You can find him on Instagram, Spaced Out Weekend, as well as on Facebook. On YouTube, our channel is Spaced Out Radio Show, and you can check out our website, spacedoutradio.com.
Little brother has taken control, shoveling dirt in every hole. Predators to condemn your soul, watching you and watching me. We're all connected but separated, misunderstood and so frustrated. A million armies of one have invaded, watching you and watching me. We live behind glass curtains and act like nothing's wrong. Soon you will belong. I know you're out there somewhere. We've watched you for so long. Wait for you to fall. We'll expose you all. I know you're out there somewhere. Watch it there.
Ladies and gentlemen, the story you are about to see is true. The names have been changed to protect the innocent.
And now, perched high in his captain's chair, way above the clouds, here's James Tyson.
Well, thank you, David, and welcome back, everybody. It is me, like David said, James Tyson, still broadcasting from our little log cabin on the 13th floor of the Spaced Out Radio Network, here on the paranormal portals of the lower left Canadian coast. And tonight with us we have a very interesting person, a spirit rescuer, Miss Amy Major. Now, Amy is a trained psychic, medium, rescue medium, healer, teacher, lecturer, and author. At a young age, Amy, she learned she had an ability to communicate with her spiritual and animal guides. Throughout childhood, she developed astral projection, which is interesting, and that's what I'm going to have to talk to her about. Imagine developing astral projection when you're a kid, as well as the ability to see auras and the energy surrounding people. In her early 20s, Amy was told by her guides that she was able to communicate with spirits. Now, Amy has studied and worked at the New Millennium Psychic Center in Derry, New Hampshire for many years and became a lead medium in the Psychic Ghostbusters Team, which conducted many spirit investigations and rescues. Amy is highly skilled in her psychic ability and provides psychic tarot card readings and mediumship readings at a local spirit psychic fairs. She's an active member of the Spiritualist Church, the Church of Spiritual Life in Derry, New Hampshire, where she has been a member for over 12 years. She has routinely provided mediumship readings and gallery readings at this church. Amy is a lead rescue medium on many spirit investigations and rescues. She conducts workshops and lectures on spirit rescue in her area. Amy's book, Toward the Light, Rescuing Spirits, Trapped Souls, and Earthbound Ghosts, explain rescue mediumship and spirit rescue techniques used to help earthbound spirits cross over. Very interesting, young lady. Welcome, Amy.
Really good.
Oh, we just have to turn up the volume to make you sound really good. It's okay. What the dickens is spirit rescue?
Oh, okay, no, so many people ask me that, and spirit rescue is just the techniques that rescue mediums use. We work with more earthbound, what we call earthbound spirits. These are people that have died, but for whatever reason, their own personal individual reason, has not made the full transition to the other side. They are stuck in between states. So us as a medium, myself as a medium and other rescue mediums out there will connect in with these spirits, or most likely they'll come and find us. We'll communicate with them.
Okay, you just broke up a little bit on that.
I'm telling you, the spirits are already working with us. They love interrupting. Sorry about that. And we work with earthbound spirits to help them transition to the other side. So we help lost souls find their way into the light. Whereas regular mediums, we connect in with souls on the other side already and relay messages. We're working more as counselors and guides for spirits that are still trying to find their way.
Oh. Now, in your bio, you said you had a lot of these, we'll call them gifts. We call them gifts now. Probably when you were a child, they were freaky. But, everything, even astral travel, came out as a child. How did that affect you growing up?
Well, actually, I became very quiet and very introverted.
Just like now? Oh, we had an internet unconnect. So.
Conversations with these voices in my head and inside myself. And, unfortunately, I had a very traumatic, very abusive childhood, which led me to sort of
I'm going to have to call her back on her phone, I think.
Are you still there?
I'm still here. You're cutting off. Do you want me to call you back on your phone?
Sure, that would be fine.
Okay. Hang tough. I'll be back shortly.
Okay.
Sort of. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I am going to give everybody her home phone number. No, hold on. That's not right. I'm going to give Amy a call back on her phone because she's out in New Hampshire, on the other end of the planet from me, and obviously there are things afoot out there, and they're keeping us from communicating properly. So I will get her done and get her going here, and hopefully we can. We will be able to get this going. It happens a bit, especially when we are trying to do these things. I've noticed that it happens a lot with mediums more than anything else. And if you're a listener of Two Mediums and a Large, holy cow, that is one show that gets knocked for six quite often. It's incredible interferences coming on that. That would be Amy's phone ringing. Dun, dun, Da, da,
Hello?
da. Hello, it's
Can you
me,
hear me now?
James. I can hear you now.
Hi. Very good. This is much better.
Okay, good. So we were talking about your kind of life growing up and with all these
Right.
little special gifts.
Yes, but, I did not know they were special gifts at the time. They were just, just a normal kid seeing, spirits around me, talking with voices in my head, having past life dreams. But all of this seemed very normal to me as a kid. I never thought of myself as being any different from anyone else until my guide started really talking to me more when I'm about 10, where they started telling me that I was different and that I was not like other people, and I was special in my own little way, and that one day I would understand why, and that I was meant to serve some sort of purpose with this gift that I had. So, I went through all kinds of training, I think started around the age 15, 16 is when I really started opening up the spirit. But when I was a kid, astral projection was very common for me. Having past life dreams, having dreams with a lot of symbology, having my animal spirits walk around with me, being able to communicate with my guides and talk with them all the time. That was all like everyday occurrences for me because I was so introverted and always talking with my guides. So it was a very common thing for me, very comfortable thing for me.
How were you talking to your guides out loud or through your mind? Just like
through my mind. I felt a little odd talking out loud. But though I don't remember doing this, but my family said that I was the kind of kid who used to sit in my room and talk to my invisible friend when I was very young. So I obviously, this started when I was, 2, 3 years old, talking and playing with my invisible friends and my guides in my head, and not realizing until I started noticing people paying attention to what I was doing, and everything became where I just kept it all in my head.
Now, I've kind of been introduced to one or two of my guides, but they're people, well, sort of people. 3 are supposed to be ETs, or were described to me as never being earthbound. But I don't know any animal guides. Now, when you communicate with an animal guide or when you see them, what is it you see?
It's almost like having a memory projected out in front of you. But you would see a lot of it from your peripheral vision. You would, just sit there, and then you would see something walking around you from the side, and then you would go to look at it, and it's not there anymore. Mm-hmm. Or you would see it out in front of you, like I would be outside a lot, and I would see it down the street from me, walking around with me. But whenever I looked at it, I felt strangely connected to it. And it was almost like this telepathy between the two of us, being able to communicate and knowing I was connected to that animal. The animal was connected to me, and we had a very strong feeling, very forced together. So when I started getting in development and you got to find what your power animal is, I already know what my power animal is. This animal's been walking around with me since I was a kid. I would see it out of the corner of my eye every now and then. I knew it was there. I knew I was connected to it, and it was a strong force with it. My animal, obviously, it's Black Panther. So imagine the age of 5 seeing this Black Panther walking around with you. Most kids would be kind of afraid. Not me. I always felt like this really strong connection to this animal.
Oh, okay. Well, that's fascinating because, I don't see those things out of the corner of my eye. I see things out of the corner of my eye, but I can't describe them. So, to me, they were just shadows. That is interesting. When you say a Black Panther, was there anything in your life that later on that connects to a Black Panther, or was if you the first time you ever saw one in real life, did you kind of have a bit of a connection with it?
Oh, absolutely. The first time I saw Black Panther I saw many on television. I have a very strong connection to cats, mostly black and white cats. I have my black and white tuxedo cat on my lap with me right now. I always had a very strong connection with cat energy. The first time I saw a black panther up in front, right next to me, obviously behind a fence, I was just mesmerized by that animal. I felt like I just wanted to reach in and just sit there and hold that animal, and it's kind of like you would just look into its eyes and you're like, wow, I am so connected to you more than any other animal. I feel so drawn to you. And that's what I tell people. When you think about your power animal, think about what animal you're drawn to the most. What animals come into your life more than any other animal? What animal do you feel that you have a lot of the same characteristics of? Those are all signs that this is your animal and trying to communicate with you.
Okay. That's... So I may see an animal and I'd look at it and think I have a connection to it, and it's looking back at me like, yeah, come on in, your lunch. So when you saw that panther, is it looking at you differently than it was looking at other people that you can recall?
I would like to think so. It was, very tame. It was at a zoo and I was very young, but I had no fear at all connecting in with that animal. And of course, when you're looking at it, in my head, I'm thinking to myself and trying to think to the animal, I'm connected with you. I feel strong energy with you. And I think, I want to be connected in stronger and just kind of feeling like that you have that mental connection between each other. It's probably looking at me like it thinks I'm nuts. But as for me, I'm like, wow, I'm so really involved with this animal, and I feel so drawn into its energy. And you just know, you feel that subtle difference with an animal that you have a connection to on the other side. I go and I look at a giraffe, I'm like, yeah, no problem, cute. I go and I look at a hippo, yeah. I go and look at a black panther, and I'm mesmerized by that energy. I just feel so strongly connected to it. You just have to pay attention to your feelings and the way that your energy is drawn into something when you're looking at it.
We had a question from one of the chat rooms here. It's an experience a person had with an animal, and she was driving on a very rainy, dark road, and then the road turned white and beautifully clear with a beautiful deer with large antlers was in front of her. She slammed on the brakes, and then it was dark again. And as soon as she had slowed down, a small deer had ran out in front of her and off. So the vision she had before actually saved the deer from getting thumped.
Right.
She's never had that happen before. Is that something I was going to say that you've had, but have you ever heard of that before?
Yes. I mean, spirits and animal spirits have the ability to do so many things. More than likely, it was all in her mind projected out in front of her. It's much easier for spirits to be able to connect into our minds and in our thoughts and our feelings than it is for them to manifest in a physical way. It takes an awful lot of energy to do that. So more than likely, somebody else that wasn't her didn't perceive any of this. But for herself, she was seeing the white road. She was seeing the deer with the antlers. It was all probably in her head projected out in front of her from the spirit energy that was connecting in with her mental state. It happens all the time, especially to mediums. We see things like that, and then all of a sudden they're gone, and nobody believes us. It's like, well, how can you prove what people don't see? So you just have to go with your gut.
That's the hardest point about getting a feeling or getting a message or seeing something is, do I keep it to myself, or who can I tell? Until you get somebody trusted. Like, honestly, that is one of those things. Her name is Galen Chauncey, and I've had her on the show before because she swears if you, as the normal public, can see what she sees when she goes outside, no one would leave the house. Mm-hmm. She sees things on paranormal investigations that other people, they're described as horrid monsters, but she sees them. And when they notice that she sees them, they take off pretty quick. But she's just one of those people. So I'm sure she has a lot of experiences, not as similar to the deer one, but bumping into other quote-unquote energies that are out there. But in your case, you know, you're lucky enough to see primarily the soft, squishy ones. Really?
Oh, no.
Oh, no?
Oh, no. No.
Okay, we're going to take...
Okay.
Amy, we're going to take a quick break, and we come back. I would love to hear about the non-soft and squishy ones you've bumped into. And then I want to dig a little bit deeper into spirit rescue. We're talking to Amy Major. She is a spirit rescuer. I almost wanted to say transport medium. She's somebody who will help those who need a little bump to cross over to the other side. So again, we'll be right back right after this.
Hi there, this is Dave Scott, and I would like to invite you to listen Monday through Friday right here on Spaced Out Radio. 3 hours a night of the top stories with the top guests, ranging topics from UFOs to ETs, ghosts to Sasquatch, and everything in between. We are live every night, 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern. So come on in and take a listen at spacedoutradio.com. Spaced Out Radio will take you out of this world.
Would you like to become one of our space travelers? All you have to do is click on the Space Travelers icon at spacedoutradio.com. For only $5 a month, you can get access to some great prizes, as well as private monthly shows, newsletters, and a members-only section on our website. Become a space traveler today.
You hear footsteps in the empty room above you. A rocking chair begins rocking by itself. Don't be afraid of the things that go bump in the night. Reach for Spirit Storybox, the iPhone app the Huffington Post UK called the only ghost hunting app you will ever need. Spirit Storybox. The spirits are telling their stories. Are you listening?
Hi there, this is Elizabeth Anglin, and on the last Monday of every month, I join Dave Scott for Spaced Out Radio's Cosmic Passport. We delve into everything from extraterrestrial contact to animal communication. It's a lot of fun, and every month it's something different and exciting. I would love it if you would join us. You can hear and learn from my experiences, and I'd like to know about yours as well. Cosmic Passport on spacedoutradio.com.
Fairies, Bigfoot, dogmen, trolls, goblins? Hey, if it's cryptid in any way, I'm looking into it. Hi there, this is author Ronald Murphy, also known as Spaced Out Radio's Crypto Guru. Join me every second Wednesday of the month on Spaced Out Radio with Dave Scott, where we will talk about the stories people call tall tales. I will fill you in on the latest sightings and the hidden histories that are causing quite a stir. You can find everything at spacedoutradio.com.
Hi there, this is your medium Joanna from Spaced Out Weekend, 2 mediums and a large. I would love it if you would come and join us with host James Tyson every other Sunday on Spaced Out Weekend. Together, we will take your calls and your questions live. Our goal is to provide you with a positive outlook on deep questions that you may have. Questions regarding love, relationships, money, or whatever else is on your mind. Come and check us out at spacedoutradio.com.
Is the 24-hour world starting to wear you down? Let me from Rivulet Reiki and Ratings lend you a hand. Hi, this is Jolene, and if you're in need of Reiki or a room reading, come to my website, rivuletrr.wix.com/rivuletrr&r, and let us help you out. At Rivulet, I specialize in healing your body, mind, and soul, no matter where you are. And be sure to check out the Rivulet R&R Facebook page for your best deals. Remember, it's time for you to make some time for you.
Find yourself constantly looking up in the sky, looking for answers? Have you had extraterrestrial contact? Are you an abductee? Looking for answers to your experiences? Hi there, I'm R. Keith Andrews, Spaced Out Radio's resident ET expert. Join me live the first Friday of every month where I take questions from the Spaced Out Radio chat room and help you understand those from the far-off world. It's 2 hours of knowledge every experiencer should listen to. Hope to see you there.
Spaced Out Weekend with James Tyson can be found at spacedoutradio.com. Head to our website where you can join the Space Travelers and sign up for your new membership. You can also follow James on Twitter at James Tyson SOR. Now, back to our paranormal guru, James Tyson.
Hey, that's me. Thanks, Dave. I am speaking to the fabulous Amy Major. She is a spirit I want to say almost, I was going to say a spirit medium. You are a spirit rescuer. What kind of spirit needs rescuing? And we talked right at the beginning, before we went off into your childhood, about, these spirits that are kind of, what's the term, earthbound? Like, why are they still here? And how do you... Oh, go ahead.
We've actually, there's been earthbound spirits for quite a long time, just we've never really picked up with them as much as we are now. We've never really noticed them as much as now. The global consciousness around is actually vibrating at a higher rate than we ever have before. The ascension rate is actually very extreme right now. We are accelerating at a very high pace. Because of that, we're now able to pick up on much higher vibrations than the normal physical world. This does include earthbound spirits. And we're getting in touch with earthbound spirits that have been around for hundreds of years that have never really found their way into the light. Their reasons become, whether they were earthbound, is much different from reasons why people recently have become earthbound. And I always tell people, you have to look at the spirit as an individual. The reason why they're earthbound is their own personal reason. There are no cookie-cutter reasons why all earthbound spirits do not transition. A lot of it goes into free will. Are they ready to move into light? Are they still kind of stuck in their life? They're not really ready to let go. They're not ready to move on. A lot of people will get very stubborn. They're not ready to let go of the family and their loved ones. They want to stay behind and stay close with them. There are other people, a lot of children that I've come in contact with, that get sort of lost on the way. They get scared of these guides and these people that come in to guide them through to the other side. They don't know who they are. They'll run and hide from them, and they get confused with the transition process. So they'll stay earthbound because they don't know where to go. I have a lot of those children coming to me. We have spirits that have gone through a very traumatic death, such as a car accident, or maybe they were murdered. And it just happens so tragically. A lot of people don't even realize that they have died. They're stuck in their mental state, an emotional state, in a state of fluctuation where all you do and all you understand is that very moment in time where you are about to die, but you actually haven't died yet. So there are many, many, many different reasons why spirits are not moving into light right now, and I think it's happening more frequently than it ever was before, which is why I think spirit rescuers and what we call rescue mediums are becoming more apparent that we are needed now, and I think the field of rescue mediumship is growing more than it ever has before because of this.
Yeah. I've heard more about rescue mediumship in the last probably 5 or 6 months than I've ever heard about it before.
Yeah, and I think it's great that we're finally starting to talk about it. We were talking earlier that I've been doing rescue mediumship since the early 2000s, and no one would ever talk about it then. Now everyone's like, oh, yeah, I do rescue work too. And I'm like, where have you been? I've been alone this whole time, and now everyone's saying they do it too. So I think it's wonderful that more people are opening up to it.
Oh, yeah, it is, and you'll get more acceptance. More acceptance means more help to those who need help.
Oh, absolutely. There's mediums out there that do both. I do both rescue work and the psychic medium where we connect and see the other side. And I think a lot of mediums would just call themselves a medium, regardless of the vibration of energy that they move into and connect in with, whether they're earthbound on the other side or at a very high plane of existence. These mediums would just sense and communicate with whatever spirit there was around. There wasn't any real structure to rescuing spirits that were earthbound. It was more of just, well, I'm going to say a prayer for you, and I'm hoping that you're going to move into the light. But there wasn't anything that they really did that helped the spirit move into the light until we started getting more structured with the type of rescue work we do now.
Oh, perfect. Now, how do you bump into these things? Do they seek you out?
Oh, they absolutely seek me out. I have earthbound spirits with me almost just about every day. And, I never really, again, it started many years ago when I started researching about mediumship, learning how to open up. I thought I was just going to be a regular medium. And the moment I started opening up, the room immediately became filled with very heavy energy. And you could sense there were spirits in the room, but it just didn't seem that friendly, light. It didn't seem loving. It seemed like there was so much negative emotions in that room, and fear and anxiety and loss. And all of these spirits would come and surround me. And I'm like, what is this? And over time, my guides explained that I was actually here to help these spirits find their way, counsel them, help them, heal them. So ever since then, spirits come and they find me. It's not that often that I actually have to go out and find one myself, unless somebody comes to me directly and says, you know what, I think I have a spirit in my home. Can you help me out? Sure, I can do that remotely, or I can go to the house and do a direct rescue. So I'm around spirits 24/7 until I go to bed, and then I'm cut off, like no more.
Oh, perfect. That's how do you shut yourself off?
Well, I have 4 kids that ground me very well.
That would do it.
When I go into mom mode, spirits know I'm off limits. I'm taking care of the family. And we also, what we call gatekeepers. Mm-hmm. These are our spiritual helpers on the other side that sort of regulate the spirit energy that can come around us at certain times. So I may be slightly open, but I'll tell my gatekeeper I'm only going to allow spirits on the other side right now, or direct family. No earthbound spirits are around me right now. I need time away from that. So my gatekeepers on the other side will help regulate that for me.
What can you describe to my listener what a gatekeeper on the other side would be?
Try to think of it as a big bouncer at the door who gets to decide who gets to come in and communicate with you or not. This is your security, your protection. And I like to think of it as, we always call them gatekeepers, because imagine spirits trying to come and knock on your door or go to the gate, and the gate opens up and you're ready to communicate with the spirit. These are your security guards to say, you know what, you're not so good for this person. I'm not going to allow you to come in and communicate with my medium. So they are the ones that sort of allow spirits to come and talk with you. You have to make a connection with your gatekeeper. You have to have an understanding with them, because if you don't really talk to them and tell them what you expect, they're just going to let anybody come in. Like, well, you didn't tell me. So it's maintaining that constant communication with your spiritual helpers on the other side to maintain your sanity.
Yeah, you'd go a little bit wonky if that door was kept open. And a lot of the young people I've spoken to who have a lot of issues with this gift are ones that it's come on very quickly and they don't know how to shut it down. The spirit medium that I went to, the very first psychic that I'd ever been to, every November she got really, really sick. In fact, she was hospitalized, I think, the first 2 after this really opened up in her. She would be walking through a shopping mall, and what she thought were just people in the mall weren't. They were just coming up to her and staring at her and following her, and she couldn't shut it off. So she had to go and work with a few other friends of actually the show, Catherine Fallman or Catherine Grace, who helped her learn to shut it off because she couldn't, and it was draining her. She had very few electrical appliances in her house because that was affecting her too. It was debilitating.
Yeah. Right. It's learning how to shut down your chakras, ground yourself into Mother Earth energy, become back in the here and the now. And also, it's learning how to create that shield around yourself. A lot of people don't know how to shield themselves from spirit energy, and they walk around this open door allowing anybody to come in and communicate with them. And that's extremely draining, and it's hard to deal with in the regular physical everyday world. It's like, how do you live in the spirit world and live in the physical world at the same time? It could be, especially when you're trying to live an everyday life, going to work, take care of kids, cook dinner, and spirit's right there trying to communicate with you. Like, I need my space. So shielding is very important. Something people should be learning in basic intuitive and psychic development, which unfortunately we don't teach that much of.
No, you'd almost have to have the connected parent, the parent who had experienced the same things and now understands what their child is going through.
Right, and I think more parents are now aware of it and more accepting and helping other children. I know Chip Coffey, he did a TV show, Psychic Kids, I think, where a lot of kids were finally able to open up to their parents and talk about their experiences and get some help and assistance with what they've been going through. A lot of kids like myself didn't. We shut down. We would become very closed off from the rest of the world or feel very introverted and not really. I became very quiet as a child because I didn't have anybody to talk to. I think today's world has much different standards and acceptance than we ever did before. So I think it allows more gifted children to be able to open up and focus and really strengthen their abilities more than we did before.
It's amazing. Do you have somebody in your family that you've taken after, or your mother or grandmother? Or where did you think you got your gift?
I received this gift from my mother and my father's mother, so I have it on both sides of the family. I did not know my grandmother had it till she came through to me and said, you got this from me. I'm like, oh, thank you. You're to blame for this. But I used to actually, my mom used to tell us growing up that she would actually sit and have conversations with that grandmother. With them both being very psychic and mediumistic, they would have conversations together. My mother would tell me and drive us past the house that she used to live in a past life. So, of course, I'm thinking my mom's crazy. I don't believe in any of this because I didn't really think that she could. But at the same time, my mom had bipolar disorder. So I always thought it was kind of, oh, well, maybe my mom's crazy. She's explaining about all these different things that she can do, talking to dead people. This is before I even knew what mediumship was. And then when I started developing, I'm like, oh, my gosh, I think I'm crazy like my mother. Why me? And I just, I really pushed it away, going, I really don't want to be crazy too. And then I'm thinking to myself, well, maybe she really wasn't crazy. Maybe I should have listened to her. So It's just the difference of knowing that this is hereditary, does run in families, and I've probably passed down to my children.
Yeah, so you just have to get ready for that one day that they come to you and say, Mom, there's a very large kangaroo in the closet. And just nod and say yes. That's true.
Well, it's funny. My 8-year-old has been talking about reincarnation since he was 2. And my husband and I kind of looked at each other like, did you teach him this? And he's like, no. Did you? Like, no. And we would never talk about it. But every time there was somebody brought up the subject of death, he would always be like, at the age of 2, saying, oh, don't worry. When they die, they go to heaven and they're going to come back in a new body. And they're going to be just fine. Or we drive by a cemetery. He's like, oh, well, that's where they put the bodies. But they go up into a different place, and then they're going to be reborn again. And they're going to become babies. And I'm just like, how did he know this? It's like nobody ever talked about reincarnation, but this is just the information they're coming in with these days. So I do have very gifted children. I'm trying to kind of shield them from that. I don't want them to think that they're different or there's anything wrong with them. I'm kind of just saying, oh, yeah, that's right, that they do come into a different life. And my son would go as far as saying, are they just still going to have the same cartoons on TV when I'm in a different life? I'm like, oh, boy, what do I say to that? So they all have their own special gifts.
That is interesting. That I interviewed a young lady, Akiana Krameric, who grew up in an atheist family, no Bibles, no mention of God, homeschooled, no television, no radio, and she described a fellow named Jesus coming down and taking her to heaven. And later on, at the age of 8, painted a picture of this guy who took her to heaven, and it's 5 foot by 3 foot. and was featured on Oprah and all over the place. So she's an absolute genius. And now she's 21. She just turned 22 last month. So it's funny. Their parents just kind of looked at her and were shaking their head on where she was getting information from that she couldn't get information from. There wasn't any books about religion in the home.
Right. And I think that was probably to her benefit, so that when this experience did happen to her, it was all more real than somebody who may have made this up in their mind based on the information that they were taught as a child.
Yes.
So it was easier to understand and believe that this situation was real because she didn't have anything to reference. And so I think that happened for a particular reason.
And I think that reason, too, being that it connects more to the outside world. Her gift now and her story has got some legitimacy to it because of the sheltered background. It's getting more attention and getting more, gee, that's interesting, as opposed to, yeah, well, she could have faked it, or the parents could be looking, the cynical side of things.
And I have so many, speaking of that, I have so many people ask me, well, for all these people that are non-religious and do not believe in the afterlife, and they transition so easily, like they have Jesus come and take them over to the other side, why are there so many spirits that are spiritual and religious get stuck somewhere behind? And it goes back to sort of their own mental state, what they're accepting, what they're ready for, and their own personal choices. It's something called free will. Everyone has the right to go or not go based on whatever emotions or their mind is telling them at the time. There's so many people like, well, there was nobody here to take me. Well, that's their perception. There could have been somebody there to take them to the other side, but they were too afraid. They were too traumatic, experience. They were too scared. And those emotions can actually create this environment around them that's not real. That's all their mind's projecting out in front of them. So they're not going to imagine that these spirits are coming to take them to the other side. So having someone like this girl who's not religious at all and have that go to her and help her transition to the other side at the time, I think it was very specific. She was not meant to go, meant to come back, meant to relay that information to people so that they do know there is somebody here for you. Try to relax, try to stay calm, and know that this is an easy experience. And that's what I keep trying to teach people. It's like, I really hope one day that rescue mediums are no longer needed, that people can start not being afraid of death, start not being afraid of the transition and getting older and letting go of their fears and their anxieties and things that they hold on to. It would be so much easier for me to know that I'm no longer needed.
Oh, but it's sad. You're so used to it now. It would be good, and I'm sure it will come. But we're still at the kind of the front door of all this. It's been a few years, but people are becoming a little more comfortable with, let's say I don't want to say paranormal, the spiritual side of things, with this type of spiritualism. I've got to ask you, Amy, and we're coming up to the end of the hour here, but you could start us off by how does a rescue medium help a spirit to the other side?
Well, a lot of the work that we do is kind of just sitting here and allowing them to talk to us, having a warm body to communicate with, knowing that they're not alone. Quite often, I will just go and my mind will start to wander, and in comes a spirit, and they'll start talking to me, and they're like, I'm here, I don't know where I'm supposed to go. And we do a lot of counseling work, talking with them, trying to find out why they didn't make it to the other side, the restrictions that are keeping them behind, helping to relieve that energy. We're also doing a lot of healing energy work at the same time, working with their aura, working with their energy that creates that environment that seems more scary or fearful or negative for them, and kind of changing that energy around them as well, so that they're able to perceive these spiritual helpers on the other side. Quite often we'll actually bring their family or their guides or their angels in to communicate with them. We'll sort of work as the mediator, connecting everyone together so that their spiritual helpers can actually help them transition to the other side. Sometimes it's just as easy as imagining a white door opening up with the white light inside and just pointing them in the right direction. So it all depends on what that spirit is able to perceive, what they're aware of, and what they're ready to do at the time.
Oh, I see. Because I could see, like you said, some little kid passing and the great-grandmother comes to take them across, and that little kid has no idea who that is.
Right,
so you've
right.
got to, they kind of back off, and you've got to kind of maybe in between and make a bit of an introduction, or maybe ask for somebody else that the child knows.
You know, quite often I'll bring through an animal that the child was connected with, and I'll ask the spirit, who do you miss? Who do you really want to see? And if they don't know, then I will ask their guides on the other side, who will they be receptive to? Who will they feel comfortable around? And quite often that person will come through. But we just have to let the child know that they're in a safe place and they can trust the people that come through to them. They just need somebody here just to guide them in the right direction.
Oh, good call. Yeah, I never thought about bringing as a mount, we used to carry little teddy bears in the back of the police car for children.
Oh.
And they'd correct, like if they were in a car accident or something, or the house fire, we'd give them a teddy, and just something they could connect to and focus on in a small, while everything's moving so fast around them, you kind of have them focus on something small and something comfortable and something that they know. And yeah, that's a good idea. Just bring the animal across. Yeah.
Yeah, quite often kids will always trust their animal friends.
Quite often. It's when they don't trust them. It's like, what are you doing here? So it's
Exactly.
So what you're saying, it's always good to get your kid a pet. And
That's right.
And hope the pet passes before the animal or the child does. Okay, maybe not. You know what we're going to do? We're going to take a quick break. I need to come back and talk to you a little bit more about just moving those spirits across over to the other side. I have a couple of examples or one example of what I did, and a couple of examples of how our paranormal team that deals with issues of a energy that just doesn't want to go, and it's stuck in a house. And I'm sure you may get calls like that too. So we're going to be right back with more from A.B. Major, a spirit rescuer, if I can get my mouth to work a little bit better, right after this break.
Become more intimate and interactive with Spaced Out Radio. Join our Space Travelers Club with your new membership. For $5 a month, we'll provide you with special access to the website, monthly prize draws from books to psychic readings, along with monthly newsletter, private interviews, and more. Sign up today to be part of Spaced Out Radio's experience.
Are you an ET experiencer, but you just don't know what's going on? Are you too timid or shy to discuss it with anyone? Maybe I can help. Join me, R. Keith Andrews, the first Friday of every month on Spaced Out Radio, and I will help you to find the answers you're looking for. Together, I will help you understand the off-worlders and the true meanings behind your experiences. All you have to do is join us in the Spaced Out Radio chat room. See you there.
Hey everybody, this is Patrick Webster Small, and I'm here to bring you the Webster Phenomena every Saturday night, live at 8 p.m. Pacific, 11 p.m. Eastern. If you're looking for aliens and extraterrestrials, well, we've got them. Big and tall, short and small, you're bound to find what you're looking for. So join me on the Webster Phenomena right here on Spaced Out Radio.
Hi there, this is Jolene with Rivulet Reiki and Readings, and I want you to relax. Let me help you chill out and get in touch with your body, mind, and soul. In this busy world, sometimes we need to let go, and this is where I can help. Visit my website, rivuletrndr.wix.com/rivuletrndr, or my Facebook page, Rivulet R&R, to set up an appointment for relaxation, Reiki, or readings. No matter where you are, it's time for you to make time for you.
Visit purpleplates.com today. For over 40 years, the Purple Energy Plates have been delivering amazing results for their many customers. Inspired by the great genius Nikola Tesla, the harmony, healing, and energetic effects of the plates have proven over and over to be beneficial and often miraculous to thousands of customers. With their money-back guarantee and the many benefits, how can you afford not to get one? Check their site for daily specials and choose from their many energy products. You won't be sorry. Visit them today at purpleplates.com for mind, body, and spirit, and expect a miracle.
Have you ever seen a UFO, a ghost, Bigfoot, or something else weird or arcane? This is Dave Scott, host of Spaced Out Radio. Every night, starting at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern Time, we are live for 3 hours of jam-packed information with the top guests from their field of expertise. Come take a listen and share your experiences with us. You can find everything you need at spacedoutradio.com. Are you experienced?
Have you ever wondered about those weird and strange creatures people have reported throughout history? Do you wonder if those stories are real? Me too, and that's why I started Cryptopia.us. Hey, this is Rob Morphy, crypto historian. Join me once a month on Spaced Out Radio with Dave Scott, where we will get into the odd and bizarre reports, from the Dover demon to hairy hominids and everything in between. I will break down what people like you and me are seeing at spacedoutradio.com.
Looking for a place to get your product to the public? Advertise with us at Spaced Out Radio. At spacedoutradio.com, you can check out our pricing and packages that best suit your budgetary needs. Whether you're a budgeted author or a company looking to expand, our listeners support the products that support spacedoutradio.com. Advertising with us is an effective way to get your message out. Contact us at info@spacedoutradio.com and get your ads out today.
James Tyson can be found on Facebook at Spaced Out Weekend. You can follow James on Instagram, Spaced Out Weekend, on YouTube, Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Twitter at James Tyson SOR. And don't forget to sign up to become a space traveler on our website, spacedoutradio.com.
Welcome back, everybody. Thank you, David. And for those of you out there who are relatively new, we have something relatively new. We are on a little app called TuneIn. If you go to tunein.com and search Spaced Out Radio, that's the only place you have to go to listen to us. You can download that app, go on the website. I'm actually sending them out to a number of you and adding them to a few of our pages. And you just have to click on it, and there we are, live. So again, that's tunein.com. Also, go to spacedoutradio.com. I'd like you to drop by and look at the SOR Space Travelers group. It's a secret, private little group. You get into there. I have a pile of books that I'm still trying to give away. I think Dave will be, on Monday. I'll either tomorrow or Dave will do it Monday. We're going to be giving a book to one of the group members. I've got a few of them here from, I think I'm going to give away the Mojave Incident. It's a alien abduction book on a family that were abducted in the Mojave Desert. Very, very interesting. Again, that's the Spaced Out Radio, Space Travelers, SOR Space Travelers group within the Spaced Out Radio website and spacedoutradio.com. And if I say Spaced Out Radio one more time, poor Amy Major is going to hang up on me. Hello, Amy. Sorry.
That's fine.
Just selling soap.
Everything's good.
Yeah.
2 a.m. It's all good right now.
It's all good. It's all good. You're going to get that hyperactiveness coming out here. We've got a couple of questions coming in from the chat room, and I'm going to start with those before we get going. Just going back to see, I think Galen might have asked me one again, and I'm digging back in through there. Shar, did you ask a question? Okay. We have Debbie asked a question here. She wants to know if you believe in God, or what the are you more spiritual? Let's say, because I honestly I had the question. I flipped through a whole bunch of them here, and let's see. Here we go. Oh my gosh, Debbie, you asked a lot of questions. I'm gonna have to get the top one. So,
well, yes, I absolutely do believe in God. I believed in God since I was a baby. When my dad and my family did not believe in God, my dad used to tell me at a very early age that they didn't believe in the afterlife, and that when you died, you were nothing more than just dust in the ground. I believed strongly that there was a divine presence that created all of us, that we were all connected in with. I just knew it in my heart. No one ever had to tell me. It was something I just came in and knew, and nobody could deter me from that information. I am a spiritualist now. My mother's side is Methodist. My father's Jewish. My husband's Catholic. So we have a lot of religion in my household. But myself as a spiritualist, our deity, of course, is God, or what we call infinite intelligence. We believe that a lot of people for God as a male figure. We as spiritualists believe that God is too infinite to actually characterize into a male or female energy, rather than it's everything, everywhere, and in everyone. So we believe we're all connected between the divine energy. So yes, I absolutely, with all my heart, believe in God.
Yeah, I found her question. It's like God, source, or spirit. I'm kind of with you on that. I'm kind of connected to source. I believe, we were all made in his image, her image, the image.
Mm-hmm.
I don't believe it's 2 legs, 2 arms, 5 fingers, 5 toes on each foot or hand, or in my case, 3 legs, 1 nose. Anyway, I think the image we are created in is basically we're energy, and the source is energy. So that's where we're the same. Now, Debbie also asked if you work hand in hand with that energy, with God, in what you do.
I pray daily, because I believe that the work that I do is sort of working for God, because you have to think about the many different levels and hierarchy of spirits that work underneath God, and we're all connected to them. We have archangels, we have ascended masters, we have angels, teachers, healers, protectors, gatekeepers, all of these energies that work under God that are also part of God. So if you think about if I'm working with you, I'm working with God. If I'm working with my power animal, I'm technically working with God. But it's asking if I'm working directly with God, absolutely. I'm always connecting in. I'm always praying. I'm always asking, am I doing the right thing? Am I kind of saying it like, am I pleasing? Or do I have your blessing? Are you approving of what I'm doing? Because everything I do is to be of service to God, to the spiritual world, and to infinite information out there, to universal information out there. We're all connected on a higher vibration. So I believe absolutely that I connect directly in with God when I do my work.
Yeah. Now, when my daughter and I helped the person leave, we used the Archangel Michael and did the whole imagining the light coming down, like the meditation, or what other people may call prayer, just focusing on love and light and coming right down between the arms my daughter and I were holding out. And there was a candle in the middle, and that candle is nothing, there's no voodoo around the candle. It was supposed to help us know when it came in between our arms. So we were constant, and my daughter is like a through-the-roof empath. She's glows in the dark more than I do. And we couldn't really tell if anything happened, and we'd peek to see if the candle went off, and we weren't really sure until Joanna, the medium, I asked her, like I said, I asked her, and she said, oh no, it was very sad to leave, but it's gone, and it went to the right place. Yeah,
and it's very interesting that you called in the Archangel Michael, because Michael technically is used as protection and not for shepherding.
Yeah.
So a lot of people actually call in the Archangel Michael when I think it's a misuse of energy and a misuse of the form of Archangel Michael. But a lot of people aren't taught that. How do people know not to use Michael? Some people use Gabriel. Some people use Michael. Some people, as myself, use Azrael. Azrael is an angel of death, the shepherding angel, the spirit that helps guide souls to the other side. So I would use more shepherding angels when I'm trying to help a spirit cross, rather than a protective angel that sits the right side of God, much higher level vibration, deals with a lot different, many issues other than helping spirits transition. I'm ex-military. I always tell people try to use your chain of command whenever possible, and that means going to the spirit's personal angels, personal guides, family first, because they're right there standing by, waiting for that spirit to transition. Why go all the way to the top when you have so many levels in between waiting to help you? But a lot of people aren't taught that. So I'm trying to help people understand what you did was wonderful, and I'm sure the spirit did transition once you were able to bring in that spiritual energy to help cleanse and heal and protect that spirit and help them know that they're not alone, they're ready to move on. But again, the medium should have been aware of knowing that, well, I'm going to bring in this, and this person for the spirit and help them be able to transition freely. And sometimes it's just, like I said, opening up a white door, waiting to let the spirit go and move on once they're ready to go. But you never know. If you're not a medium, if you can't actually physically see them leave, it's hard to know if you've made the right choice, if you've done the right thing. So when in doubt, pray, ask for the spirits to come through to help the spirit transition and hope for the best.
Yeah, and that is the best way to go looking at it. I was wondering here at where I am at 11:11 p.m. is if if your belief system. There's quite a conversation in the chat room going on about beliefs and personal beliefs and other people's beliefs, things like that.
Okay.
I'm firm in my belief, but my belief is this, and yours is silly. When we are moving, or when you are helping, and going back to the Archangel Michael to help, the two archangels that are said to be extremely strong in me are Michael and the Archangel Haniel, or Haniel. Though she's more to do with women, though, because I guess, but the side of me that reacts is my left side. Like if I'm close to a spirit, my left side is what says, hey, smarten up, there's something here. And that's kind of the feminine side. And I get it from my mom's side of the family. So that's how I kind of think, okay, that's where that's connected to. But when I was asking what I was supposed to do to help the fellow in the basement cross, it was to ask Michael. So I thought, okay. And I totally, you said exactly what I've been telling lots of people. Why do I ask Jesus? Why do I ask God to do something? It's like if my phone screws up, I don't phone the president of the phone company and say, hey, my phone's not working. You kind of, there's a hierarchy. It's a union job. So we'll get it down to the people who get the archangels are the ones that deal with that. They're the ones that run around, and they have a whole bunch of, legions of other angels bouncing around doing stuff. So, and I've got my own guides. We've got, there's a whole whack of energies out there that we can tap into. And that's what we do. And those people who pray to God, bless them. I'm sure when he gets their information, he probably just fires the mail off his desk to somebody else's desk, and they grab it and go, okay, I'll do that. Or I'll deal with that. Or that's not in the person's interest in the great scheme of things. So yes, he's praying for being rescued off the glacier, but sorry, it's not in his cards. He's going to have to die there.
Well, I think Haniel would have been just as good with helping the spirit. I think honestly, probably both of them may have worked. Because Archangel Haniel is, the angel, angel of joy. They also, this angel, I know everyone says it comes through as a female form, only because it does carry a female characteristic of joy. But it also comes through as a spiritual guide for people with intuitive gifts. So if you have the intuitive gifts, if you're sensitive, this angel will be working strongly with you. They work strongly with imagination, creativity, and joy, bringing love. So it is a much higher vibration than Michael. Michael is the fierce warrior. It's the one that comes in for protection. So because the spirit may have been going through, you said they were very sad to leave, they may have been going through a lot of emotional issues. Michael may have been the better choice because it was a stronger, denser vibration, able to sense and be more comfortable around those negative emotions, rather than the angel of joy, who would rather like to have a celebratory event rather than something sad and transitional. So I believe actually what happened with you was perfect, because those are the two angels you work with. They chose which ones. I think people really should be going to the angels they feel comfortable with. I don't want to telling somebody, oh, go work with this one angel, and like, well, I don't really have a connection to them. Then don't. Do what you feel is right for you. Everybody has their own way of doing this. I just don't want people losing out on having the connection with all their other personal angels and guides that are standing by. They're waiting to be of help to you. So don't go all the way to the top unless you absolutely feel that you need to. Because whether you know it or not, the top hierarchy, the highest levels of angels and beings are directly working down through your guides and through your angels. So you're actually working indirectly with them, whether you know it or not.
Yeah. I've heard that before. It is interesting through meditation anyway. I shouldn't say the information. The feelings that I get it's so vast. There is, it's in some, I want to say infinite. It is a huge amount of energy to tap into, and just focusing on the purest piece of energy at any given time. Like, where do I tap into this? It's love and light. Do I imagine bringing that down through my crown chakra, through my system? Or I screwed up my knee. I'd really like to play on the football, or in the football game on Monday. Okay, how am I going to do this? Please, God, let my knee be better, and not really work on it. Stretch it out. So then you would call in your healing angels. Yeah.
Have your healing angels come in and start working with the healing energy and focus that energy on what needs to be physically healed for you. You can use their energy, have them come in and focus it in on what you need. But quite often, if you go into a very high vibration, you don't really feel your physical body anymore. You become one with everything, almost like you're floating and you're connected to everything. And that's when you know you're exactly where you need to be to connect in with these higher sources. You're like, what knee? I don't have a knee. I don't have a body. So you don't even think about that type of thing. But most of the time, a lot of people don't go that high. They are quite aware of their bodies and their physical pains. But when you are, that's when they say, try to focus the energy on where you feel the pain and ask your healing angels to come in and do their work. So in the Spiritualist Church, we actually have a prayer for spiritual healing that we actually say when we go into a meditation to allow the healing energy to come into us. It's a different type of meditation than something we would go in and connect with the divine source and connecting with our guides. So there's many different ways to meditate depending on the energy that you're trying to tap into.
Yeah. Okay, that's just spinning my head now. See, it's when we do our paranormal investigations, we do all sorts of cleaning, hoping that we're not going to bring something home with us, which I've done before. And that was pushed out as opposed to pushed on, if you know what I'm saying. I just moved it out of my room, and it's happily existing with a family in our street. But what I keep thinking it wasn't my job to move it on to where it's supposed to go. I think if it was meant to be that, we would have done it. If it wasn't meant to be, maybe it's going to be somebody 10 or 100 years from now. You know,
I think it's your choice if you decide to do that or not. But a lot of people don't know that they have a choice. A lot of people don't know, well, if I'm moving this residual energy out of my place, where does it go? Do I have any control of that? And the answer is absolutely yes. But you don't really have to control our spiritual guides, angels, and entities on the other side have the control. You can actually bring in Mother Energy and have elementals come and take that energy where it needs to go. When I do clearings and I push the energy out, I actually ask these energies to come in, take this energy, use it at will wherever it's going to be the most beneficial for either Mother Earth energy or universal energy. And I allow them to take it where it needs to go so that it's not moving into somebody else's home, or it's not staying stagnant in an area where it's just going to fester and grow into another, negative attachment. So I allow these angels and these energies to take it where it needs to go so it's beneficial. Even if it's dense, heavy, thick, negative energy, that can be used for power, for, volcanic energy, for a river that needs, energy to stimulate, to go down and have flow. There's many different reasons why the earth needs thick, dense energy to be used as power. So you allow these spirits to come and take this energy where it needs to go, where it's beneficial. I found out that works greatly compared to just allowing it to say, okay, I'm sweeping it out my door, go do what you want to do with it. I like it to actually be some good use somewhere so that it's not just hanging around. But a lot of people don't know that. I had to learn that eventually on my own. I used to have a lot of elementals come and get very angry with me because I wasn't using the energy correctly. So it's just something you learn over time.
Okay. Yeah, it's taking the time to learn that and getting good at it and again, getting confident that you're doing it possibly. A question from the chat room here is, can these energies come from like over a phone line or...
Oh, yes.
Yeah?
Yes. Energy travels. Let me tell you, I've received so many different spirit attachments, energies, everything you could think of come through the phone. It doesn't necessarily come through the phone, it comes through the voice. They can use the electromagnetic energy of the phone line to do that, but most likely energy flows through thought, through voice. You're stimulating energy, you're sending it up, you're talking to me, you're actually sending your energy out to me, and I'm actually collecting a little bit of it, I'm reading it, I'm merging with your energy at the same time. We're having a collective conversation, two-way energy transfer. Same thing can happen when you have attachment or when you have spirit with you. It can carry with your voice, with your energy flow, and attach to me. So quite often, I will consult with clients through email before I talk to them over the phone, depending on the situation, because I do not want, I've had so many attachments learning how to do this many years ago because I didn't learn how to shield myself talking to people over the phone. So absolutely, yes, that can happen.
Take us through shielding. What do you do to prepare?
That's really energy work, just like a meditation, and you use visualization techniques. A lot of people have heard of the white light of protection. That's when you imagine a shield or a circle of white light surrounding you and your energy and protecting. Only those with the highest and best intent can actually penetrate through that white light. The same thing with the shield. I tell people use their protective colors, and it's an individual protective color. Everybody has their own color. And I ask them to think about, we take them into a meditation, we have them bring in their guides. The guides tell them what their protective colors are. If you don't know what those colors are, always use either white or gold. Gold is a very high divine energy, very protected as well. Some people use silver. So you just imagine the shield around you, and it sort of protects you against energies. And a lot of people are like, well, how can I just visualize something and it actually work? And you have to think about, well, how do you think these spirits are coming to connecting with you? It's through your mind. It's through your energy. And what you're doing is when you create in your mind, you're actually creating energy around you, whether you could see it or not physically. If you could see it in your mind, you're actually creating that energy around you, and you are creating that shield of energy, whether you know it or not. And it does absolutely work. You just need to learn how to do it on a daily basis so that you can do it freely without even really thinking about doing it.
Yeah, I've found that I do it at night in my night meditation just so I can sleep through the entire night, so I don't have to get bothered between 3 and 5 in the morning. I can expand the energy not only around my body but to the entire room, and then sometimes I'll expand it to around the entire house.
Yes.
And mine is kind of a gold and white light. And then it's just inhaling it and exhaling it, pushing it out until it's like helium in a balloon. Face it, I have gas, Amy. I have gas, and I fill the whole house with it. Just ask my kids. It's like, but that's exactly what I do. I just project it out and ask that the only energies that allowed in are those who come with pure intent and those who come with in love and light. So similar to what you say. Right. And then I also invite in old pets and and the occasional friend of mine who may want to drop by. And I find it also really affects lucid dreaming when I do that. I have wonderful dreams, and I don't really want to wake up because they're good ones.
Oh, yeah.
Are you a lucid dreamer, obviously? No?
I am, yes.
Do you have premonition dreams quite often?
No, I actually have time travel dreams. I have really strange dreams where I actually dream that I'm somebody else talking to people I do not know in a completely different time period. And I have those quite often. And I don't know why. But then until recently, I've had somebody tell me that I was a time traveler. I'm like, oh, is that why I have these strange dreams? Okay, that's good to know. So, interesting dreams that I have.
So you're a time traveler, are you?
I know.
Oh, sorry.
Man, if I could just get those lottery numbers.
No, that's not in your destiny.
I know.
Your destiny is to go in the future, pick me up the numbers, and bring them back to me.
That's right.
Oh, that would be good.
That
would be fantastic. Now, when you first started the astro traveling, you were really tiny. Is this probably all a part of your dream and your astro traveling into other times? So that is unique, very, very unique to you. Have you bumped into other people who are gifted that have like one really good golf club in their bag and then a whole bunch of other ones? Like the one that you use all the time? You seem to be your primary function, we'll call it, or the tool in your kit is to help those who are stuck to move along. That would be, I guess, in some churches' terms, your divination. This is what your divine purpose is.
Right.
Do you work with other people who have their strong suit in other areas?
Oh, yeah, all the time. I don't find many people that actually do what I do. You know, they have their own particular gifts. You know, when it comes to animal communication or mediumship or Reiki, healing, sound therapy, they all have their own unique gifts, and a lot of people still aren't open to talking about it yet. You know, I had this one medium that used to tell me that she used to do time travel as well, so we really connected now and talk a lot. Because it's like, she's like, you can do what I do. And I'm like, yeah, I can. So we had a really great conversation, and I have many, many, many friends in the psychic community that have many different gifts. And they're all very interesting.
You see, you get together and it's a pretty good mix. The strength that you would have all together, the energy that you would bring in. We're talking to...
What's the balance?
The balance would be wonderful. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We're talking to Amy Major. She is a spirit rescuer. When we come back, I want to harass her about a few other things. Maybe dig down a little more of the actual energies that she connects to. Again, we are broadcasting live and tune in. It's a TuneIn app. You can go to tunein.com and just look up Spaced Out Radio and click on the link, and we're live. Go to the website, our website, spaceoutradio.com. Look on the website for what's coming up, Dave's shows in the week, and also the SOR Spaced Out Travelers Club, where if you join, you can have all sorts of access to all sorts of really cool stuff, as well as some swag. I hate saying that, if you join that, you have a chance of getting a gift. There's a lot more on there. Just look at it. Take a boo, see if you like it, and sign up. We'd really appreciate it. And we're getting a lot of good activity in there. Again, SOR, Space Travelers Group, and we're going to be right back with more from Amy Major right after this wee break. Well, at least I hope it's a wee break. What do you think, Amy?
Hi there. This is your psychic medium, Joanna. I would love it if you would join us every other Sunday on Spaced Out Weekend. With host James Tyson, we'll bring you personal psychic messages on two mediums and a large. Questions about love, life, career changes. We would love it if you would come and join us live. Call in and listen in for the experience. Allow us to open the doors to your other side. Two mediums and a large. Heard only on Spaced Out Weekend at spacedoutradio.com.
Attention Spaced Out Radio listeners. For only $5 a month, you can join Spaced Out Radio Space Travelers. Your membership at spacedoutradio.com will give you access to private fan area on the website, get you a monthly newsletter, draws for monthly swag, and a whole lot more. Sign up today to become a part of the Spaced Out Radio experience.
Hi there, this is Spaced Out Radio host Dave Scott. Join me Monday through Friday at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern Time at spacedoutradio.com, where we delve into all things paranormal, supernatural, extraterrestrial, crypto, and all topics in between. Come on by, take a listen, and tell us about your experiences. We are here for the answers you need. Spaced Out Radio, broadcasting right out of this world.
Strange creatures lurking in the night, the sounds of wood knocking in the forest, odd happenings right out of a fictional world. These are the reports I love. Hi there, this is author Ronald Murphy, and I would love it if you join me and Spaced Out Radio host Dave Scott the second Wednesday of every month on our journey into the unknown land of cryptozoology at spacedoutradio.com. From Mothman to Frogman and everything in between. Hey, they don't call me the crypto guru for nothing.
Visit purpleplates.com today. For over 40 years, the Purple Energy Plates have been delivering amazing results for their many customers. Inspired by the great genius Nikola Tesla, the harmony, healing, and energetic effects of the plates have proven over and over to be beneficial and often miraculous to thousands of customers. With their money-back guarantee and the many benefits, how can you afford not to get one? Check their site for daily specials and choose from their many energy products. You won't be sorry. Visit them today at purpleplates.com for mind, body, and spirit, and expect a miracle. Visit purpleplates.com today. For over 40 years, the Purple Energy Plates have been delivering amazing results for their many customers. Inspired by the great genius Nikola Tesla, the harmony, healing, and energetic effects of the plates have proven over and over to be beneficial and often miraculous to thousands of customers. With their money-back guarantee and the many benefits, how can you afford not to get one? Check their site for daily specials and choose from their many energy products. You won't be sorry. Visit them today at purpleplates.com for mind, body, and spirit, and expect a miracle.
Every month on Spaced Out Radio, we look into the deep and dark reports of cryptids roaming around the world with me, Rob Morphy from Cryptopia.us. I would love it if you would join me and host Dave Scott as we delve into the most arcane stories and reports regarding creatures of the unknown. My job is to hunt down the details and bring the evidence forward to you. These aren't your regular Bigfoot stories I'm talking about either. You can find out more about crypto history at spacedoutradio.com.
With an ever-expanding listenership base, Spaced Out Radio is the perfect place for you to advertise your product. Our listeners support those who sponsor this show. So whether you're an author or a company, Spaced Out Radio is the perfect place for you. Our pricing is more than competitive, and your advertisements will be seen and heard every show. Head to spacedoutradio.com and advertise with us today. Contact us at info@spacedoutradio.com today.
Tonight's edition of Spaced Out Weekend is brought to you by spacedoutradio.com, where you can now sign up to become a Space Traveler member. Now, for the final time tonight, here's Spaced Out Weekend's James Tyson.
Welcome back, everybody. We are with Amy Major, and she is a rescue medium, a spirit rescuer. Moves the lost ones onto the other side. Amy, when you are out there doing your rescuing, it sounds so official. Out there doing your rescuing, you have a number of kind of what we've discussed is you have a number of arrows in your quiver that help you along. But one of the things I'd like to know is what the heck you would do when someone comes to you and says, you know, there's this thing in my house, and you determine it's residual energy and not spirit energy. Is that something you can, with your gift, you can identify really quick?
Oh, yes. That's one of the first things that I teach, because I teach rescue mediumship in my area now, telling people how to start reading energy. You have to read it on its vibration and intensity. And if they do not know, I teach them how to do the echo effect. And that's when, think of yourself as like a bat, and you're sending out radar. Send your energy out to the energy. If it responds and sends something back to you, it's not residual. It's a ghost. If you send your energy out to the residual energy, it dissipates, nothing happens. It's just a thick, dense mass of energy around you. You know it's residual. The residual energy doesn't move anything around. It doesn't have the capacity or the intelligence to do that. It doesn't talk to you. It doesn't try to make communication with you. So there's many different ways to find out if it is residual energy or not. But you usually immediately tell just on its vibration because it is different than a spirit energy.
Okay. I know we run into those at doing paranormal investigations. They're just on a loop. There's no communicating with it. They're just all over the place.
Yep.
Or not all over the place.
That's when they call the time. The time loop.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like the classic, the young guy down at, it's the battlefield, the Civil War battlefield. Oh, I've got a brain fart. Anyway, he's like on a loop, runs from tree to tree. And he was first said, oh, he's the famous ghost of such and such. And no, it's a residual energy. He probably just imprinted. He could have lived a long life after that, but he may have been absolutely terrified running from point A to point B.
You know, and somebody mentioned to me what made complete sense is just like we have auras and energy around us that stores information, the Earth energy has an aura and energy field around it as well. And that's what I think a lot of the residual energy is. It's just something that imprints itself into that auric energy of the Earth's energy and plays itself back over and over again until it dissipates. So I think it's something we're just really starting to understand more of and how to actually work out how to clear it.
Oh. Yeah. It's just, we've got a really interesting fellow that walks in the back of his restaurant up and opens the door. And people see him quite often. And we determined it was residual from the owner back in the 1930s. But they really want to get it out of there because it bothers a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
So moving that one or having it diffuse would be a good thing.
Right.
I was talking to somebody in the UK, said there's a famous road where you see Roman soldiers marching, but you only see them from just about the mid-thigh up, because the original road they're walking on is under, 2.5 feet down.
Right.
And it's residual. Interesting. How can I tell I'm sorry?
Quite often, about 50% of the hauntings that you hear out there are actually residual energy and not an intelligent haunting. So,
yeah,
I think if people learn more about residual energy and how to clear it, once they've cleared the energy, if it's still there, then you know it's not residual.
Yeah. It's that trying to clear, and, that's why we have a shaman that works with us. He doesn't charge people for that. He says if I try to clear something and it doesn't leave, then why would I charge money for it anyway? If I have a spirit attachment, how am I to know that? If I'm Joe and Jane's six-pack coming home one day, how do I know I have a spirit attachment?
Well, it depends on the intensity of the spirit attachment. Some are very mild. Some you would really never know. Sometimes you would just feel emotional changes. You would start maybe hearing things, seeing things. You would feel different. You would almost take on a personality change because that energy would be merging with yours. You would start taking on their memories, their feelings. And so you would just feel like all of a sudden you just feel that you're a different person and you don't know why. That would be a very subtle spirit attachment. And not necessarily that they're bad. It may just be the spirit of somebody looking to attach on someone for comfort and security, knowing that they're not alone. They're looking for, a warm body to connect in with, and until they're ready to make their transition. And then you have spirits that are a little bit more intense. They come on and start attacking right away. You'll start actually feeling pressure around your throat, pressure on your back, pressure in the back of your head. You'll start getting headaches, nausea. You can get very sick, very tired, very drained. You can start getting hallucinations, nightmares, feelings of being threatened, many different things that the spirit will immediately take on and start attaching you and draining you of energy and scaring you. So it all depends on the intent of what that spirit's trying to attach you for. So it could be mild, it could be severe. I've had people have an attachment where it actually manifests on top of the person. So when I was actually walking down a hall and seeing a lady who was calling me in for an attachment, you couldn't actually see her face. You can only see the face of the person that was attached to her manifesting on top of her energy. It was that intense. Probably one of the most intense attachments I've ever seen. And that attachment was pretty awesome. Easy to get rid of, again, because they actually had a spirit of a young girl that it had killed, molested and killed, and kept very close to it. So once we were able to get rid of the spirit of the young girl, connect her in with her mother on the other side, and we were able to clear the attachment by bringing in our protective forces and what I call spirit police to help connect and clear that entity from that person. And then you go in and you start clearing residual energy when you're done with that. But if you have any doubt or any feelings at all that you think you may have a spirit attachment, more than likely you probably do.
Oh, that's interesting. I know I've been to a paranormal investigation where the 17-year-old girl was, she was a very high empath and she didn't know what that was. But she had a fellow that walked to school with her and would whisper in her ear and stand in her room and things like that. So as soon as he realized he was there, we were there to communicate with him. He just backed right off, kept his mouth shut, wouldn't say anything. So we kind of pointed her in the direction of getting a house cleaning. And
well, that would be just a spirit to sort of follow. I call them followers. And they kind of just follow a person around. They don't actually attach to them, when you actually see an attachment, it's almost like the spirit is like right on them, right on their back, kind of connected in with the person's body. And you might actually see them manifesting through the person's body. But quite often I'll see them as sort of like a dark shadow on the back of someone's head, on their back. I always call them monkey on the back. You know, I'm like, oh, you've got a monkey. People are like, what? I'm like, oh, you have an attachment. I have my own little psychic babble that I use when I talk to people. And I'm like, well, you have an attachment. I can see the dark nest on they like to attach for some reason to the back of your neck and to your spine. That is a central area that they feel they can really connect in with, that people have a hard time removing the attachment from. They go right to the central nervous system. I think that's the central part where they feel they can connect into your whole body if they want to start attacking and harassing you. So I'll always start looking in that area first if I see if the person has an attachment.
Now, when they attach or they're hovering around prior to attachment, why don't our guides kind of step up and help get it away?
Free will. Absolute free will. And a lot of the time they kind of will. We won't necessarily take on their clues and say, well, maybe I shouldn't be doing this. Quite often we'll have these signs in front of us and we'll do something like we'll forget to shield ourselves. Or we'll go in, we'll do a paranormal investigation and we don't call in our protectors. We don't ask for help. We'll go in and it will happen to us. And our guides will kind of take a step back and like, well, what are you going to learn from this? You know, sometimes they'll allow you to have a spirit attachment so you can learn to become stronger, how to learn how to get rid of this attachment so that maybe you can help other people get rid of their attachments too. But your guides can never really come in and help you unless you specifically ask them to. It all comes down to free will. They can't interfere with that.
Oh, it's a drag because I'm always thinking that, you know, if I don't see the attachment coming, then it's not really free will, because if the attachment says, okay, James, I'm going to come down and attach myself to you, okay, I can say yes or no. You know,
right.
Yes, that's my free will. But if it's sneaking up behind me and jumping on me and I don't know it's there, I didn't have a choice.
Well, let's kind of think about it this way. If you're going to walk down a dark alley and somebody attacks you, should you have known better to walk down that dark alley?
Yeah.
Or if you're going into a public place where you're going to have fun, there's a concert and there's a bomb threat. You know, things are going to happen. Not necessarily that you guys want you to be hurt, but sometimes they're learning experiences. Sometimes they want you to understand something through that perspective. So they will put you in the line of having an attachment just so you can learn how to get rid of them for future reference. And also, you know, just like the security on the other side, they'll see that it's going to happen. They'll wait for it to happen, and then they're waiting for you to ask for assistance to clear it away from them.
Ah, and it was our destiny to have it.
Depending on your life purpose and what you're supposed to be learning at that moment. Sometimes practice happens and the spirits come in and like, okay, let's try to get rid of this and let's help you out. And, you know, we just get ourselves in situations that we'd rather not be in. And again, sometimes our guides are trying to get us out of that situation and we don't listen and we not pay attention to the clues that they're giving us. You know, we live in the physical world. We're always, you know, we get busy, our minds get busy. We're not always paying attention. And that's when they're like, well, we're going to help you out this one time, but next time try to learn and to try to do better.
Yeah. If I was going to either help a spirit cross over or get one of those buggers off my back, what's the best tool in the toolbox to use, and what are the ones we should stay away from?
Well, I think any type of tool that helps raise your vibration is best, because these attachments come in with a very heavy vibration. The negative ones, the ones that are positive, the ones that are looking for help and healing, you don't necessarily feel threatened, but you do feel like your space is invaded. The best thing you can do, send them love, send them healing, say a prayer, ask for somebody to come in and help guide them to the other side or guide them where they need to go for healing for themselves. And that usually that's enough, because the spirit knows once they're invading your privacy. They know that goes against spiritual law, and they will release themselves from you. It's the spirits that are a little bit more harassing, more negative, that you're really going to have to work on that. And think of it as like this dark, negative energy, dense mass on you. The best thing to do is not feed it negativity. Do not feed it fear. What you're doing is you're feeding into it and you're making it grow and manifest. So don't ever feel fear. Don't ever be angry with it. What you should be doing is raising your vibration as high as you can for as long as you can, and sending it love and sending it healing. I can't tell you how much they cannot stand it when you send them love and healing. They cannot stand that vibration, that high vibration, because they're not comfortable within that energy source. So keep sending it love, keep sending it healing, do a cleanse of energy. I always tell people, try to imagine like a shower of gold and white light coming down on you, flushing out anything negative or anything off your body or in your body, pushing down all the way through your feet down into Mother Earth and asking it to go where it needs to go to be beneficial. So there's a lot of cleansing techniques you should do, but the number one thing you need to do is raise your vibration. Make a very uncomfortable environment for the spirit attachment. You do it over and over and over again until they get the clue. Sometimes it could take days, sometimes it could take weeks. For me, it took a couple of months for one spirit attachment that I had. But you keep doing it, and you don't give up.
When you say that you actually had one on you, or was it somebody you're working on?
Oh, I've had over 100 spirit attachments. Why do you think I became so good at learning how to clear them?
Yeah, come on. Go ahead, attach. Just one more time.
My guys believe fully in learning through experience.
Oh, yeah, and they're giving you full-time... You're going to the University of Spirit Guides.
Oh, yes. So I had one that, and you always think that they're negative, but they're not. I had one that was actually an elemental attached to me that was actually really pissed with my energy, and they're like, "You're sending us the wrong energy into Mother Earth," and I'm like, "I don't know what I'm doing," and it was just a crazy experience, and it took months for me to clear that energy because I had no idea what I was dealing with. And it took a time when another medium was like, "Well, did you talk to it?" I'm like, "No, I haven't talked to him. Just been trying to get rid of it." They're like, "Well, talk to it. Find out what it wants." I'm like, "I don't want to feed it energy." And they're like, "Find out what it wants." So I would keep sending it love, keep sending it healing, and talk to it. Find out why was it attached to me? What did it want? What was its purpose? And when they finally felt they were able to get through to me and get their message across, they left. And I'm like, "Oh my gosh, it was that easy." But I had to go through the experience to learn that.
Yeah. That's a good example of having to, just take a step back, deep breath, ground, and communicate.
Right.
Because without that, you're just, swinging a baseball bat in a dark room.
It is. It's hard. It's really hard to go through these lessons and that is face these experiences. But I got to tell you, it's only going to make you stronger. I'm not saying invite this in. Absolutely do not do that. Try to keep yourself at a high vibration. Connect to only those with the love and the light if possible. But if you do feel that you are connected with the rescue work, you have to be aware that these are situations that you're going to have to face. And you cannot face them being inexperienced, weak-minded, and do not have thick skin. This is a very hard field to get into. It's very emotional. It could be scary. It could be frustrating. But if you are mentally strong and physically strong and spiritually strong enough to do this type of work, then I would definitely suggest training in it with another rescue medium to help guide you on your journey.
Oh, perfect. I'll have to look for one of those. we need a good group of them out here. What when you wrote your book, what kind of pushed you to write that?
You know, I had been wanting to write the book for over a decade when I first really started getting involved with rescue work, because every time I would go try to get resources to learn more about rescue work, there was nothing available. I mean, I would look online and there would be nothing. I would go to a bookstore, there would be nothing. And I felt so frustrated. The only thing I would ever find are paranormal books about hauntings and stories that people would tell about, you know, their experiences. But no one ever really explained how to do anything. No one really explained why things happened. And the more positive side, everything had to be scary. Everything had to be spooky and dark and mysterious and paranormal. And no one ever explained anything from a spiritual perspective. And that's what I was so desperately looking for. So through the years, I learned how to develop all this on my own. And finally, my guides kept nudging me, and they're like, you really need to think about writing this book? I'm like, no, I've never written a book before. It would never do good. And then they kept nudging, and they kept nudging, and they're like, you need to write this book. And so I'm like, okay, I'm going to write the book. And within 3 weeks, I had a literary agent and a publisher willing to do the book with me. So I absolutely believe it was meant to be. And I've had a great response with it. All of it with the book, Toward the Light, is explaining what earthbound spirits are, why they stay behind, the spiritual journey of life, death, rebirth, why it happens, what you can do if it does happen, what rescue mediums do, what spirit rescue is, and why you should see this more on a positive spiritual side and less of a spooky negative side that has been depicted for so long. There's always two sides to every story, and I wanted to show the side that people can relate to a little bit more in the real world.
You mean it's not all spooky and ghosts and
Nope.
somebody named Zach asking to be touched and then screaming like a little girl running down the hall when he's touched? No.
Yeah.
Oh.
All comes down to perspective.
Oh, Amy, I'm so disappointed in real life. No, you can go to Amy's website, which is www.circlesofwisdom.com. Again, circlesofwisdom.com. And
that's actually the center I work out of. My personal website is amymajor.com.
Oh, that's easier than Circles of...
That's a little easier. Yeah.
amymajor.com. And for us Canadians, it's MAJOR. There's no U in it.
And there's no S. Everyone wants to put an S at the end of my name.
Majors. No, this is your rank. That's why you were in the Army.
That's
Were you Army, Air Force?
Navy.
Navy? Oh, New Hampshire. Yes. Yes, it's good to be in the Navy. To a point.
In the Navy.
Yeah. And happy Pride Week for everyone out there. So go to amymajor.com and you can get her book through that part. Again, it is Toward the Light, Rescuing Spirits, Trapped Souls, and Earthbound Ghosts. Amy, what's your best way to get a hold of you? Just amymajor.com?
They can go to amymajor.com. They can reach me through Facebook. Just type in Amy Major, Rescue Medium. And I'm right there. I chat with tons of people online. I actually created a rescue mediumship chat group through Facebook. So just look up groups rescue mediumship. And just Google my name. There's pages and pages of information about me and different ways to connect in with me online.
So you're not hiding or anything. You're quite easy to get a hold of.
I've come out of the closet completely.
She's completely come out of the closet. So you can get a hold of her and drive her completely insane. And it's coming up to 3 o'clock in the blessed AM in New Hampshire. You don't have one of those voices, do you? You don't have an accent like that.
I'm originally from California.
Oh, there you go.
I don't have any accent at all. I'm from Southern California. I've been living in New Hampshire for about 16 years after the Navy. So, yeah, I don't have the New England accent, unfortunately.
Did you sign up in, like, San Diego or something?
Monterey.
Monterey?
I lived in Monterey for a few years.
Nice. I used to spend a lot of very cold winters from Canada to Newport Beach and that area.
Oh, I'm originally from Long Beach.
Oh, very cool. They had a sewage spill last week, so don't go there.
Good.
No swimming. I think it was an oil spill too. Anyway, I'd love having you on. I need you back on again. You are working on another book, and it's going to be out in the spring, and it's going to have pictures just for me. And we're going to have you back on that one, and I will promise not to do as much talking as I did this time, because literally we can sit down, have a beer, and go over this a lot. And you do have to get up in a couple hours and go to church.
I do. I have to preside at church tomorrow morning, so I have a few hours of sleep I have to do.
That's when you kind of, everyone bow their head, and they're going, Amy, wake up.
Yeah.
Oh,
Spirits have a really great way of waking me up when they need to, though.
Oh, good. Yeah, your spirit guides will give you that slap in the back of the head, because when you're really tired, free will doesn't work when you have a job to do.
That's right.
Well, thanks again. And again, for my listener, go to amymajor.com. Check out her page. Check out her book. You're very, very cool. And again, everyone out there, please keep an open mind. Good night, everybody, and I'll see you tomorrow night with 2 mediums and a large. And maybe I'll get somebody else to be the large. Nah, I'll do it.
This is our last goodbye. Young hearts will stop. Torn souls set free. All that we have is now. If this is what you want, then come to me.
All right, that's it. Let's roll. And hey! Let's be careful out there.
Far over the snow, what are those voices? They sing and they go. What are those voices? Look up for the mountain. Because somebody hide, somebody better hide on through the hill, like a pack of angry wolves on the trail. We are after you, dead or alive. We are out to get you, dead or alive. And forget your soul. If you're the one, better run away. Son, you are done. Throw your gun away. Here come the Mounties to get the